Bye. Make sure we get this right this time. My dog is indicating that someone is here. Okay. Kick's good. YouTube's good. Party is whatever party is. And we should be good. All right. Well, that was interesting. OBS had just reset or kicked off my audio input device. Took me a while to figure out what it was because... And I'm going to need your help to tell me. Is it hot? Is it crackly? Does it sound good? Let me know what's up. And when we play videos, I'll have to monitor to make sure that it's not echoing because I had to go through a whole tutorial to figure out how to set this up correctly so that the echoing wasn't happening before. So when it dropped it, I had to guess through a bad memory whether or not I did it right. So hopefully everything's good. When I play the video, that'll determine whether or not it's echoing or if you can hear it or not. I think I got it right. Well, that was fun. Got to relearn stuff. All right, so we have... My channel dropped off N-word Snowman's feed on Rumble, and he had to find it again with a search. Wow. So he unfollowed and refollowed, and it's back. That is so interesting. And what I replied to that is, that's odd. My Instagram isn't personalized to my searches anymore, so it might be on my phone, but when I go to the computer, because I haven't been like doom scrolling in the morning like I was, I broke the habit when my phone was not working. And so I go on there still on my phone, but I don't really do it as much as I used to. It's not my morning regimen of, drinking my coffee, waking up a little and scrolling. I don't do that part anymore. I kind of just relax, peaceful and quiet. And because of that, or for other reasons, this Instagram, when I go to home, I'll show you. See what I mean? It's just showing me tits. Like the whole thing is just asses and tits. This isn't what I search for, but this is what is. Oh, this is somewhat in the realm of what I. Yeah, the one that he kissed apparently it wasn't the tranny. It was the other chick next to him. That was the tranny. Not chick, but you know what I mean. Wannabe chick. That's a man hand right there. On the side. It's too close in proximity for my taste still, but whatever. Obviously not something I'd be searching for, but yet here it is. Oh, that's cool. I used to do stuff like that when I was trail running, but I had shoes on. But like none of the stuff is something that I'd be searching for. And yet here it is. I'm not getting any of the stuff I normally get. See what I mean? Maybe they're trying to distract me away from searching the stuff I normally do. This is just like over and over again. Did you ever consider that maybe the things that they show us and they're like, oh, look, primitive man, this many hundreds of years ago. Oh, this is the Bronze Age. This was thousands of years ago. Did it ever occur to you that maybe it's like going to Papua New Guinea or something like that in modern times and being like, this is the height of society in 2026. And it's a bunch of dudes, running around basically naked with like maybe a little swatch of like a loincloth. And you're like, yeah, this is the height of civilization. Like maybe they were looking in the wrong spot. Or maybe they were intentionally looking in the wrong spot. What the fuck? Oh, okay, yeah. Why not? Oh, he's making a bunker, it looks like. He should have done some more interior work before he did all that. That's kind of cool, though. There you go. Wow. All right, I'm just gonna watch this because this is interesting. I bet I could do the electrical in there. He's not bending any pipe because that would suck in a rounded out building. Jeez. And you got the cheap flooring too. Holy crap. Yeah, I'm down with it. Oops. Anyway, let's go back to the messages. Oops. What do you mean you spoke too soon? That guy, I didn't put the audio on for that video. I didn't turn it on. But we'll test it here in just a minute, and then you can tell me. All right, let's see. So this is going to be Orgone Energy, Orgone But Not Forgotten. And this is a little Wilhelm Reich thing. Wilhelm Reich was a psychiatrist. Points deducted already. Let's see what the Cloudbuster was and what the Orgone Energy capture device was in comparison to the unwashed hippy grifter devices you find at conventions like Contact in the Desert. Yeah, he says, oh, a longhouse. I'm sure it'll turn out pleasantly for all involved. At least it didn't turn into like a torture chamber or something like that. All right, so the vanishing of the mysterious Orgone Energy accumulator. One of the videos we're going to take a look at. Wilhelm Reich, the man who claimed he could control the weather. Now, this was inspired by Jack Anthony, a friend of ours. Friend of ours. Sounded very Italian of me to say that. He had asked me some questions about Wilhelm, and I guess the going theory here is that he was inspired by Crowley, which I don't believe that. I mean, I looked at some of the information so far, whether or not it's still. Oh yeah. He just didn't put it where I had it, so that's fine. He was a disciple, sadly. They say Wilhelm Reich was a. This is. Oh no! Did they delete? Okay, phew! Thank God. This was a thread I wanted to read to you. Just questions to AI, but still. That he was a disciple of Sigmund Freud. So I went down that trail with with AI. So a Cloudbuster is a device designed by Austrian, I like him already, psychoanalyst Wilhelm Reich, 1897 to 1957, which Reich claimed could produce rain by manipulating what he called orgone energy. Orgone is this look at how they frame this. It's a pseudoscientific concept. It's not though. It's really not. What people sell at the freaking conventions or trade shows or whatever the hell you want to call those things, the Contact in the Deserts of the world, the alien and UFO conventions, with the hippie chicks, when they have a little device on the table with basically stones and epoxy molded into a pyramid shape with some copper wires hanging out of it and stuck inside of it. That is pseudoscientific, and it's actually taking away from the legitimacy of other things. But grifters got to grift. So anyway, described as an esoteric energy or hypothetical universal life force. It sounds like ethereal energy to me. The ether is a real thing. Originally proposed in the 1930s by Wilhelm Reich and developed by Reich's student Charles Kelly after Reich's death in 1957. Yada yada yada. Orgone was conceived as an okay. Energy present in the atmosphere. The Cloudbuster was. This sounds like it's in line with Tesla and his wireless electricity, right? The Cloudbuster was intended to be used in a way similar to a lightning rod, focusing it on a location in the sky and grounding it in some material that was presumed to absorb orgone, such as a body of water would draw the orgone energy out of the atmosphere, causing the formation of clouds and rain. What do you mean? It's supposed to be the other way. Reich conducted dozens of experiments with the Cloudbuster, calling the research cosmic orgone engineering. There have been no verified. People have been making their own and seeing results and showing it, demonstrating it all over the internet for a long time. But it doesn't work because they said so. Oh, the clouds are moving anyway. The modern reinvention of Cloudbuster is being sold under the names of Chembuster, as in Chemtrail Buster, Orgone Cannon, and Akasha Pillar. It is marketed as a countermeasure against chemtrails. Conspiracy theory relating to aircraft condensation trails. See what they do here? No, they are most certainly spraying you with all kinds of... There's organisms in that crap. There's smart dust, nano, whatever you want to call that. Bad things. Microplastics. All kinds of trash. PFAS, probably. Forever chemicals. Construction. A Cloudbuster consists, and they always say, oh, it's aluminum, barium, strontium. Yeah, but what else? The things that they will verify or overspeak about is taking the focus away from what else is in that mess that's in the air. A Cloudbuster consists of, it's probably graphene too, consists of an array of parallel hollow copper tubes which are connected at the rear to a series of flexible copper hoses, which are equal or slightly smaller in diameter to the parallel tubes. Alternatively, the rear of the tubes are joined to a single large diameter pipe and flexible copper hose. The open end of these hoses are placed in water, which Reich believed to be a natural orgone absorber. The pipes can be aimed into areas of the sky to reportedly draw energy to the ground like a lightning rod. The remains of one of Reich's Cloudbusters can be found in Rangeley, Maine, at the Orgone Energy Orgone Energy Observatory in the Reich Museum. In popular culture, Wilhelm Reich's Cloudbuster at Orgonon can be seen in blah, blah, blah. The Cloudbuster was an inspiration for the 1988 carriers. All right, so that's all they have to say about that. Excuse me. Least comfortable shorts I have. Okay, so that's one we can delete now. Now, I was sent this link to this Adventures in the Orgasmatron, which, by the way, was a Woody Allen thing from a Woody Allen movie. And oy vey, Ultrazio, perverted out of his mind and a little creepy dude, right? That's what they're trying to conflate with Orgone energy. But that's them doing that. That's them bastardizing and perverting something else after the fact. And then people looking back at it from 1957, now it's 2026, and people are saying, oh yeah, that guy was an occultist, that Wilhelm Reich. And that's where I had to push back on my friend, and I was like, okay, so I'm going to make a video, and we'll just see what happens as we look at this all that I have on here to see if we can make any sense of it. But this is how the sexual revolution came to America. And this was The Economist. You know what The Economist is, right? That's like a Rothschild publication. The Economists, and there's a big space between that and the S. 2011 book of the year, a Boston Globe Best Nonfiction Book of 2011. If it's getting popular approval by that type of crap, you have to understand that a lot of it's got to be misdirection. Even if they're telling a little bit of truth sprinkled in, they're guiding you somewhere. They want you to think in a certain way. Well before the 1960s, a sexual revolution was underway in America. You know what that means? It means the oy veys were at work perverting America and destroying morality and ethics. Yeah, okay, thanks. Thanks for reminding us. As in, like, the hippie movement and a bunch of acid, feds, CIA, all that shit. Led by expatriated European thinkers who saw a vast country ripe for liberation. Yeah, liberation. That's what they call that. Whenever they pervert something or make something ugly and horrible, it's because you're being oppressed. That they need to free you so that you can explore these horrible things. Oh, you want to cut off your penis, fold it inside out, and make an outie into an innie? Yeah, I mean, you should be allowed to do that, and then you should be able to groom children to do the same. Otherwise, you're being oppressed, obviously. In Adventures in the Orgasmatron, Christopher Turner tells the revolutions, and they don't seem to fix what they this was a copy paste, and the formatting didn't fit on the other side, so they're just like, fuck it, we're not gonna fix the spaces, we're just gonna pump this out. Tells a revolution story is an illuminating Illuminati, thrilling, often bizarre story of sex and science, ecstasy and repression, of course. Central to the narrative is the Orgone box, a tall, slender construction of wood, metal, and steel wool. A person who sat in the box, it was thought, could elevate his or her orgastic. Is it orgiastic? It was an orgastic potential. The box was the invention of Wilhelm Reich, an outrider, a psychoanalyst who faced a federal ban on the Orgone box. Now they're trying to make him one of theirs. And then, of course, people with good taste would be like, I don't want to look any further. I don't want to look at this guy's stuff. I don't. He's a weirdo. That's where my friend's head's at, and I don't agree with it. The box was an invention of Wilhelm Reich, the outrider psychoanalyst who faced federal ban on the Orgone box, an FBI investigation, a fraught encounter with Einstein, and bouts of paranoia. Of course, you have to. He's paranoid because the feds are literally out to get him, and they destroy all of his work, burn it, steal it, confiscate, and then kill him. Yeah. Because he was so paranoid. Oh, we have an editorial review too. Oh, Christopher Turner lives in London and writes for The Guardian and other publications. So if you want it used, it's $11.63. If you want to buy a new, it must be out of print or something. It's $46.98. 544 pages of probable bullshit. You know, I see how it's framed. And I wouldn't waste my time or money on that. They really put a lot of effort into the cover too, didn't they? It's like a child. Hey, draw some boobs. Yeah. So that's what I was working on there. I can probably get rid of that. And let's go to, let's see, what's this say? What is this, Karen? Oh, maybe I'll read the way it said above it. Hold on. Ooh, okay. It says, we totally don't control the weather. It's only been Congress public law since August 13th, 1953. Totally a theory still. Link below. Thank you, Karen. Epoxy resin can be pretty toxic. The back of one of my fingers where I got some epoxy resin more than a decade ago is permanently inflamed. Is a permanently inflamed spot. Holy crap. Yeah, I guess it all depends on what you're using. Just the off-gassing of something like that too, and you're in your environment, and you're breathing in that in. The ions, probably not a good thing for you. Depending on what it is, I'm sure. Like the type of epoxy. A fraught encounter with Einstein sounds likely. He was also awful fraudy. Very fraudy. Fraught in nature. Before we get started, though, I want to say thank you again to Edward Snowman. I started saying this, but apparently nobody heard me because it popped up while I was on the original broadcast that we had abandoned, so I could figure what was going on out. And Edward Snowman, you bought once again 10 coffees for the support of this broadcast, and I cannot thank you enough. If people want to join you, I put the link, I pinned it. If you don't like it being pinned there and you're trying to read the chat, you can always click that or it says hide message. But remember, this is how the thing keeps moving forward. So if you can, we appreciate it here. We, meaning me and the squirrel in my pocket. But the squirrel is very appreciative because I have to feed him. So if I don't have the means to feed him, then he gets really upset. All right, now let's move on. Let me pop this up here. So just to remind everybody, this coupon code, it is a lot because I don't have very high margins on my products. I don't try to gouge people for that. Paratus, which means prepared or ready, depending on which way you want to look at it. It looks more like prepared to me, but this is the Latin. And Semper Paratus was the US Coast Guard motto, which, again, I like always prepared rather than always ready. Versus Semper Fidelis, which means always loyal. Well, you could be loyal to something that's not good. So I don't know if that's, in case in point, what we have with our military being co-opted by demons. I'd rather be prepared. So I'm glad I was in the US Coast Guard. Semper Fry, because it's hot sauce, I kind of took the Fi and turned it into a fry. SemperFryLLC.com. And my grandmother was a Marine drill instructor, believe it or not. My dad's mom. She was also from a Mennonite family. Or Mennonite. People pronounce it all different ways. I like Mennonite. If you don't like it, yeah, change it. Say it your way. Oh, did you see that? There was no audio. What the hell is that all about? Oh, fuck. Okay, this isn't correct. That's not supposed to pop up like that. Hold on a second. I'm not going to know what's up now. I think everything was changed. Let me go ahead into the settings here. Advanced audio properties. They turned all the monitors off. Why the hell would they do that? Dude, everything got fucked. I don't even know what to say about that one. I don't know. Oh, this one doesn't need to be on. I don't care about that. I don't know about that one either. I hope that's right. Jesus Christ, dude. Every single one. And I don't even know which ones to change. I'm just going to go with turn them all the same way. Just give me a second because this is stupid. Why isn't it scrolling? Scroll for me. Well, those are right. Monitor only mute output. Yeah, that's all correct. So why isn't it doing it? There's no sound. What is happening? Are you guys hearing it? Because I don't think you are. It's not supposed to pop up as its own thing. I gotta go back in the settings and check to see what's up here. Everything's supposed to be like that. Yes. Oh, you gotta be freaking gay. Hold on, let me see. Tell me if this makes a difference. Let's check it out. Let's go to... why this all changed on me, I don't no idea. There's no reason for that to happen. I came back to a computer that was shut down earlier. And it was restarted. And I didn't touch it. Nobody else did. And then all of the stuff that I do for. Try that one. Can you still hear me? Let me know if you can still hear me. I'm going to see what happens when I play this now. If it changes anything. Where's the intro? This is a pain in the ass to find shit on this list. Nope, still nothing. Can you hear me though? Or is it not working? I don't know why I'm not getting audio. Let's go back to Pro Chat. I gotta look at you guys and see what you're saying. Okay, you can still hear me. That's cool. Don't forget to switch your camera. What do you mean? No, I'm hearing bullshit. Okay, let's see. Audio. Desktop audio. Let's try this. Let's see if that was supposed to be on. I don't think it was because it's not supposed to have more than... It's all supposed to go through the audio input device. All of it. I was taught how to do this. Let's try that. Let's see what happens. Nope, now it says desktop audio. And it's probably going to be doubled. Nope, still no audio, and it's still popping up when it's not supposed to do that. I don't understand what's happening, guys. I am at a loss. Gotta close that. Ah, son of a bitch. Everything's been fucked. All of this, the global audio devices are supposed to be remaining disabled. Everything is supposed to go through the audio input capture device. The monitoring device is the Rodecaster Pro 2 main track, multi-track. That is correct. And yet there's a bunch of bullshit happening with the audio. I don't know what's happening. So I'm not going to be able to play any videos, which means we're not going to be able to do a show here. Let's see. Yep, no video, no audio. No audio. What the fuck is happening? Yeah, I don't know.
Of common patriotic citizens like...
Nope. None of the things that I'm parsing are working. I don't understand what's happening, guys. I am at a major loss here to understand this. Maybe I have to, if I have to do that, that would suck. Take it off and then put it back on? But why? Why would that need to be a thing? Huh. There's only 3 ways to do this. Let's see. Can you hear me now? Okay, let's try this again. Nope. There's no audio. It's almost as if the board itself is not working now, which I don't think is true because I just reset it and there's nothing missing out of it and it's still playing through my audio on this thing. So this is the only other thing I can think of, but let's try it. God damn it. Something happened. How did all the audio, how does everything change without you doing it? Hello? Like, what is going on here? Pro main track. And that didn't help anything, so I don't know what's happening. It's not working on any of them. None of these settings make any sense for that to be an issue. The global devices don't need to be selected. Let me see if this happens. If I do this, let's see what happens. I don't think it's going to work anything, but let's just try it. Nope. Let's put it back to where it was then. All right, well, the last thing I can do is just try to do another reset on this and see what happens. But you know what? Let's play something on the computer and see what happens here.
In the mid-20th century, a radical thinker named Wilhelm Reich.
Were you able to hear that? Oops. Yeah, I'm going to play a little bit of this. You tell me if you hear it.
Claimed he could control the weather. His invention? The Cloudbuster.
All right. I'll just wait. I know there's a delay. Okay, you heard it. It works. Why they don't work on OBS, I have no idea. So all the cool things that I play in the beginning, you know, I can't do well, I can do this still. Well, they changed that too, you fucker. All right, try that again. Toasty! So that's because it's coming from my board. But everything's... I don't understand. That is so freaking weird. None of it's working. What the hell? All right, well, we'll just move on until I figure it out. Then we'll just go ahead and go by these, and I just won't have fun intros or any cool stuff to add to it, which will have to be fixed. I'll have to figure out what the hell's going on with that, or why it's not being... I don't even see it pulling up on the board. Let's try one more thing here real quick. I gotta watch the board when I do it. Yeah, I don't want to see properties. I want to see... I don't have enough... I'm not gonna have enough time to even check it. There it goes. I did nothing different. All I did is move the thing around. It went right back to the same place it was on. And now it's working. Explain that to me. You can hear it now. Is it doubling? I bet it's doubling. Maybe not. Okay, so that's odd. Let me know if that echoed to you. I'd have to play something with words in order for you to find that out. So every single one of these, there was actually nothing wrong with it. I just have to take it off of what it's actually set to already, move it around, and it comes back. Come on, open up, fucker. What the hell?
I don't think you should throw things off.
So you're hearing her voice. Is it doubling?
Heavier as it goes down. But go ahead, right there, right there. Right there.
Is it doubling?
Now you plant
She
it.
threw an acorn over the side. All right, so I have to go through each and every single one of those and change its setting to something that isn't correct, and then put it back to exactly where it was, and now it works. No echo either? Well, that's awesome then. Gremlins got fed after midnight. No echo. Okay, cool. Well, sorry about the delay here. That's all very strange stuff. Weather modification and control have attained the stage at which The application of scientific advances in the field appears to be practical. And this was 1953. Interesting. We'll get into that later. Now let's start with this one. We got a couple over here too. We got this guy, how to make a Cloudbuster. You got this goof troop here. And this one. Plenipotentiary makes a Cloudbuster. Okay. That's his name. Oh, excuse me. And I don't think any of these are related. This is the things I was looking at for something else. All right. We'll put on those. And there should be one more documentary. What the fuck? This was the long one, I think. Yeah. Okay. Let's get started. If it's echoing at any time, just let me know. I'll keep an eye on it for a little bit here. And you can kind of like watch your chat from the phone. Jesus Christ, what am I fucking doing now? I'm all discombobulated.
In the mid-20th century, a radical thinker named Wilhelm Reich claimed he could
Radical.
control the weather. His
Come on,
invention?
fucker, turn on.
The Cloudbuster. A strange cannon-like device made of metal pipes and cables aimed at the sky. Reich believed it could tap into an unseen energy called Orgone to dissolve clouds or summon rain. To some, he was a visionary ahead of his time. To others, a fraud-peddling pseudoscience. This is the story of the Cloudbuster, an invention that blurred the line between science, mysticism,
Why can't I
and
get
controversy.
stop?
Born in 1897 in Austria,
What the fuck?
Wilhelm Reich began his career as a psychoanalyst, studying under Sigmund Freud. He was brilliant, unconventional,
Under
and
Sigmund-
unafraid to challenge norms.
Yeah, Sigmund Freud. Big problem there. Dude is a Frankist. And then if you ask AI that bullshit, they say no, he wasn't. Yes, he most certainly was. He most certainly was. The whole Oedipus, whatever. He was a Frankist.
By the 1930s, Reich had fled Nazi persecution, settling in the United States.
Well, that's a fucking joke already.
There, his focus shifted from the human mind to the natural world. He became obsessed with a concept he called Orgone, a universal life energy he claimed flowed through all living
Fuck
things
off.
in the atmosphere. Reich believed Orgone could heal bodies, power machines, and even influence weather. In the early 1950s, Reich unveiled the Cloudbuster. It looked like something from a science fiction film. A row of hollow metal pipes, mounted on a swivel base, connected by cables grounded in water. Reich's theory was simple yet wild. He said orgone energy in the atmosphere could become stagnant, forming clouds or drought. By pointing the Cloudbuster at the sky and manipulating this energy, he claimed he could restore balance, either breaking up clouds or coaxing them to release rain. The device didn't shoot beams or electricity. It was passive, relying on what Reich called orgonomic potential to draw energy from the air.
The ether.
He tested it in rural Maine, documenting his results with fervor. The Cloudbuster was rooted in Reich's organ theory, a bold vision of a universal life energy he called organ, from organism and orgasm, tying it to vitality and sexual flow. He saw organ as a massless, invisible force, pulsing through all living things and the atmosphere in waves.
Yeah, he
like a
sounds like a Freudian perv, doesn't he?
Cosmic breath.
A little
In
bit.
its healthy state, it fueled growth and harmony, glowing faintly in microbes he studied or warming the air. But Reich warned it could stagnate into deadly orgone, triggering disease or drought. He believed devices like the Cloudbuster could manipulate these energy currents,
And cause droughts, huh? Wow, isn't that something?
drawing orgone from the sky through metal pipes, grounded in water, to restore nature's balance. It was a leap from psychology to a strange, uncharted science.
Oh, and just as an aside, Wilhelm Reich was born into an assimilated Jewish family in Dobzow, Galicia, modern Ukraine. Oopsie. A prominent psychoanalyst, as they say, and former student of Sigmund Freud. Yeah, he's got a lot of strikes against him, and he's a psychoanalyst. Reich was a Jewish refugee who fled Europe for the United States in 1939 to escape accountability. Well, let's just call it accountability in the rising. They call them Nazi, which is National Socialist regime. He is best known for his radical theories linking sexual repression to authoritarian politics and fascism. So he was a piece of shit. Let's just be honest. Regardless of whether or not these things have a potential to it, it sounds like they took Tesla ideas and perverted them in the only way that this cult does things is to pervert it and make it stupid.
Reich's experiments were ambitious. In 1953, he aimed the Cloudbuster at a dry spell plaguing Maine farmers. Hours later, rain fell, and Reich took credit.
Good
Another
one, Karen.
time, he claimed to dissolve a looming storm cloud, protecting a harvest. His followers were amazed, calling it proof of Orgone's power. Reich even attracted attention.
So wait, hold on a second. Rain harms a harvest?
From beyond science. In Arizona, ranchers hired him to end a drought. After days of cloud...
To end the drought? Yeah, what do you know? So they have this potentiality. They have all these energy weapons now, and they probably have all this tech being used when they want to do something, so they can deprive people as they would like to, and they could probably cause even flooding where they would like to. Not to mention earthquakes and all the other shit that they do with other devices. Yeah.
Busting, rain reportedly came, though skeptics pointed to natural weather shifts. Reich's notes were meticulous, filled with diagrams and observations, but they lacked the controlled data science demanded. Still, his believers
You mean like everything about allopathic medicine? And the bullshit about germ theory and viruses? Lacking any controls? Or any isolation? Or any proof whatsoever? And no efficacy tests? Oh, okay.
A revolution in weather control. The Cloudbuster's fame came with scrutiny. Mainstream scientists dismissed Orgone as fantasy, arguing there was no evidence for such an energy. Critics called Reich delusional, accusing him of exploiting desperate farmers. Then came the law. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration targeted Reich's broader Orgone work, especially his Orgone accumulators, boxes he sold to concentrate energy for health benefits. By the early 1950s, reports trickled in. Patients using these wooden boxes lined with metal, marketed as health aids, sparked concern.
Well, that's where he stepped on the toes of the other Jewish cult, the allopathic. You can't be healing people. You were drawing outside the lines there, Mr. Other Oive. We can't be having that. We're going to have to discredit you now.
FDA launched an investigation in 1951,
Of course
labeling Reich's claims fraudulent.
Now you
Agents
see
went
why.
undercover,
It wasn't even
posing
about the Cloudbuster, it was about this.
as clients to gather evidence, while scientists tested accumulators and found no measurable energy.
There wouldn't be if it's a theoretical, dumbass. It would be an actual energy. They don't have a concept of magnetic fields either. Does that mean that they don't exist? Just because they can't explain them? People as hardened and seasoned as what the hell was that guy's name? I'm gonna miss. I don't remember, but Ken Wheeler brings him up all the time. The name's just gonna escape me because my brain's, you know what it is. But he was asked to describe a field, and this is the guy who worked on figuring out what happened to the Challenger, and there was some issue. It was either him or Sagan that did that. I think it was this guy though. And there was some issue with some cheap material that didn't expand and contract with the temperature changes, allegedly allowing gases to go someplace in a chamber that wasn't supposed to happen. And then, yeah.
Only hollow
So they say. It's probably just blown up.
promises, they said. Reich dismissed them as ignorant bureaucrats, refusing to cooperate. In 1954, the FDA struck, filing an injunction to ban.
See who's going after him? It's the stronger of the cult. Because he stumbled upon something that they didn't want other people to be cognizant of. So they go after the guy. Because the FDA is protecting the bigger cult, the Rothschild, Rockefeller cult of allopathy.
and his devices and literature nationwide. They accused him of peddling quackery, endangering vulnerable people.
They say that about naturopathy. They say that about homeopathy. They say that about chiropractic. They say that about herbal medicine. They say that about Ayurvedic medicine. They say about fucking everything. That doesn't mean that just because the FDA, oh, it's unmeasurable. Bean counters over here. Or some other reasoning why, because it's a threat, because it's not, it's cutting into the lies that they're telling so that they can poison people. You can't take the poisoning ability away from the J. They own that. It was promised to them 5,000 years ago, for Christ's sake. Not along 3 or 2.
With unproven cures. Reich fought back, representing himself in court in Portland, Maine that spring. His defense was a spectacle, rambling lectures on orgone, defiance of authority, and pleas for scientific freedom. The judge wasn't swayed. On May 7th...
Did you mean the guy in the black robe who's part of another society of his own? Who did he get? Daniel Coit Gilman as his judge?
1954, the injunction passed, ordering Reich to destroy his accumulators and halt all orgone work. He complied at first, smashing the...
So adults aren't allowed to choose to do whatever they want to for whatever reason they want to. You can't allow adults to make choices. If it's not harmful, there's no reason. If there's no negative to it, whereas all prescription drugs have horrific effects. They're not side effects, they're effects.
This is under supervision, but soon resumed in secret, shipping parts across state lines.
Why wasn't chemotherapy and radiation ever scrutinized like this?
That defiance triggered his arrest in 1956. Contempt of court, a federal crime. The trial was swift. The gavel fell hard. Sentenced to 2 years, Reich's fate was sealed, his dream of orgone validation crumbling under legal weight. Reich's final days unfolded in a stark cell at Lewisburg Federal Penitentiary in Pennsylvania. Convicted of contempt in 1956 for defying the FDA's ban on his organ devices, he was sentenced to 2 years. On November 3, 1957, just days before a parole hearing that might have freed him, Reich was found dead in his sleep at age 60.
Oh, that's convenient.
The official cause was heart failure.
Sure.
A condition he'd battled for years, worsened by stress and confinement.
And probably arsenic or whatever else they put in his food.
His supporters whispered of foul play, noting his vigor in letters written weeks earlier, but no evidence emerged. Alone, his books burned and his Cloudbusters dismantled.
Yeah, his books burned. Because if there's nothing to it, what is the harm of letting other people see where he went wrong for proper research in other fields or related fields that might produce some results? If there's nothing to it, what was the need to burn it? What was the need to go all, I was going to say Roman on them, but you could say the same thing from Christians or Muslims. But really, what's the real thing? Just the Kabbalistic Jews? Okay. Just burn it all away. Because even in Rome, who was influencing them to do that stuff?
Reich's death marked a quiet end to a stormy life, leaving behind a legacy as divisive as the man himself. Today, the Cloudbuster remains a curiosity. Some fringe researchers still build replicas, testing Reich's ideas in backyards and deserts. A few swear it works, pointing to anecdotal successes. Science, however, sees it as a relic of pseudoscientific zeal. No peer-reviewed studies support orgone or its weather effects. Yet Reich's vision...
No peer-reviewed scientific studies. We can all laugh at that, can't we?
...lingers. Was he a misunderstood genius, tapping into forces we've yet to grasp? Or a man lost in his own imagination? The Cloudbuster...
Well, he was probably a little bit of both. And this is 5 minutes long, and it says the vanishing of the mysterious orgone energy accumulator. This is the box.
In the 1950s, the US government destroyed an invention so dangerous they wouldn't even let you know it existed. What was this mysterious device, and why was it so feared? It wasn't a weapon or a bomb, but a simple box, a machine that claimed to tap into a hidden, invisible force. This is the story of the orgone energy accumulator.
I read what you said there. N-word. Well put. Karen says, obviously, chemo and radiation cure the problem of life. And then N-word said, he's like a filter feeder, like a sponge or clam, filter feeding credit from his social environment. Right, stealing. They all co-opt everything. And they slap something else together. And well, that's all his idea, must have been. Certainly couldn't be related to, I don't know, etheric energy or anything. And he says, sort of like how his machine supposedly sits and filter feeds some energy from the environment. And then Karen says, I left the clams alone at the beach today. Are you talking about old ladies or ha 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 ha?
Simulator, created by a controversial scientist named Wilhelm Reich. But what did this device really do? And why did the authorities go to such terrifying lengths to erase it from history? The answers are shrouded in conspiracy, and the mystery only gets darker. Was Reich's invention truly a groundbreaking discovery, or was it something much more sinister? Stay tuned as we uncover the shocking rise and violent fall of one of the most forbidden devices in history. It all started with an idea that was so bizarre, so unthinkable, that even the most open-minded scientists couldn't comprehend.
That guy's an open-minded scientist? This is who they... Oh, man. I hope they weren't... I hope this is just overlapping because they're going to say he's a disciple of this guy. And not that this guy is an open-minded... Everybody wants to have sex with their mom and kill their dad. Why? Because I'm a Frankist and that's how I was raised. They passed me around a lot. It's what we did in our close-knit family, as some people have referred to the Frankists as being.
Wilhelm Reich claimed that he had discovered a hidden energy, something no one had ever seen, touched, or measured before.
Hold on. What the hell just happened? It didn't just drop us off, did it? That noise was a little bit on the loud side, and I didn't see any pop-ups happen. Hopefully we didn't get disconnected from OBS. Let me know if we're still rolling.
He called it orgone energy. Orgone, Reich said, was the essence of life itself. It surrounded us, flowed through us, and controlled everything from our...
It reminds me of those, the movies where they have the person on the head on the table talking in like the goofy horror movies.
Our health to the very weather in the sky. Reich wasn't just theorizing.
His name isn't Reich, you fucking loser. You shouldn't be talking if you call him Reich. You don't know how to pronounce Reich?
Built a device that could harness this mysterious force. But here's where...
That's not the AETHER, but that's funny that that's written there.
Things take a turn. The Orgone energy accumulator wasn't just some theoretical gadget. Reich's machine was real, and he promised it could heal diseases, boost your energy, and even manipulate the weather. The people who used it? Some said they experienced miraculous recoveries, while others, well, we'll get to that.
They died.
But was this device truly as powerful as Reich claimed? And more importantly...
And here's just, the Niagara Falls, just, for effect, because it looks neat.
Why did it provoke the wrath of powerful forces who wanted it erased? As stories of the Orgone energy accumulator spread, Reich's work quickly moved from the fringes of science...
Does that say luge? It really says luge.
...of a growing controversy. People began reporting extraordinary experiences while using the machine.
What the fuck is this?
Some claimed that sitting inside the accumulator cured their ailments, including diseases that modern medicine couldn't touch. And then, there were the other rumors. Reich's experiments...
You just caught that, right? Curing diseases that modern medicine couldn't touch? Does that not sound like a direct threat to their monopolistic worldview that they wanted to impart upon every living being? That allopathy is science and there is nothing outside of it?
Started getting strange. He wasn't just using Orgone energy to heal the body. He began claiming he could influence weather patterns, that he could control the clouds themselves with another device he invented, the Cloudbuster. What kind of energy was this, really? Was it a mystical force?
This is an AI voice. The inflection is all off.
A scientific breakthrough? Or something even more dangerous? But the more Reich delved into orgone, the more dangerous his work became. At least, that's what the government thought. Reich's claims soon caught the attention of the US government, and not in a good way. By the early 1950s, the Food and Drug Administration, FDA, started investigating Reich's work. They weren't just curious, they were threatened. You see, the government had more than just health concerns about the orgone accumulator. They labeled it a public danger.
Of course they did, because if they labeled it a potential threat to our monopoly of poisoning people to death through the Malthusian genocidal eugenics program brought upon us by the Rothschild dynasty and the Rockefeller family, then that would be a lot harder to convey its severity to the public, wouldn't it? Because the public would be like, wait a minute, you're saying that what you're doing for us isn't as good as this thing? Are we even looking at health the correct way? What is this energy and how is it healing things? Is there ionic minerals involved in this too? Could it be replenishing the body of what it's lacking? And eliminating the particles that you're stuffing in us with all the bullshit poisons that you put in us? I wonder why. You would not want us to know about that. It's got to be a threat. Just not the way you think.
Fraudulent machine that preyed on the sick and vulnerable. But what they did next was far...
You know, it's funny that you say that N-word, because some people have said that he made statements like, it captures the energy of the innocence of a child. I haven't verified that he said that, but that's what my friend was trying to tell me he said, and that could just be phrasing to say it's something innocent and that it's pure and it's from like God or something, meaning that it's like ethereal, or it could mean something a little bit different. But what you said is the box probably contains baby face off, and adrenochrome, and every conceivable form of unjust sadomasochistic supply to offer to L, their venomous queen. Except they attacked it, right? And maybe are they trying to say, no, this is just for us to kill ourselves with? But I doubt that was an element of it, simply because I think that would have been able to be noticed by people who were using it if it was all that ritualistic and weird. And, how would you, is there any other way to call that but sorcery?
More extreme than just banning the device. In 1954, the FDA took action.
Because remember, the people who are in the, make up the FDA and are comprised, that the quote-unquote government is comprised of at this time in history is already the infiltrators. So if they're interested in a negative way about something, I'm sure it's not an element of the very things that they have in store for us or are doing in the shadows to innocent people. You know what I mean? It wouldn't be them attacking their own ilk unless that person was messing around with something that would have been able to be liberating and making people independent of their control and their spell upon people that they are the arbiters of all things scientific and medicine.
Ordered the destruction of Reich's devices and all his research. Not just a recall, destruction. This raises an important question. Why would they go so far? Were they just protecting the public, or were they hiding something? The more he resisted, the worse things became. He defied government orders, insisting that his discovery was legitimate. For this, he was arrested, imprisoned, and labeled a madman.
Well, of course, you have to discredit somebody. Now, I'm not making a case for him, but I'm just saying this is the process, and they burn their own all the time. Just because he's a Jew doesn't mean he was necessarily a fully practicing. He's got a strike against him for being a psychoanalyst in the first place. He's got a strike against him for being a disciple, as they called it, of Sigmund Freud of all people. But it might be that he legitimately did stumble upon something that was probably pre-existing in the ideas and the mind of someone like a Tesla, as far as the energy is concerned. And maybe he did find a way of capturing that energy through the use of basically it's organic material in layers. I don't know why they're not even discussing what it's made of yet, but we have another video to come after this, so let's see how it goes.
Downfall wasn't just legal. His entire life's
What are
work
you
was
doing?
wiped from the face of the
The
earth.
fuck is that?
In a chilling move, the US government ordered that all of Reich's books, papers, and
Hold on a
research
second.
be burned. Thousands of pages of scientific data gone. Why would they do this to one man's work? Was he really that dangerous? And why was Reich so convinced that his research was worth sacrificing everything? Unfortunately, he died in prison in 1957, but his mysterious legacy lingers. To this day, conspiracy theorists and scientists alike wonder what secrets might have been buried along with him. The story of Wilhelm Reich and the Orgone energy accumulator isn't just a tale of a scientist and his machine. It's a
Dude.
mystery that continues to baffle us even now. Why was Reich's work met with such forceful opposition? Was he simply a fraud? Or did he uncover something so unbelievable that it had to be hidden?
And that's the
Could
thing.
it be that he was on the brink of
If he
discovery?
was just a fraud, then having that information out there would have been meaningless and harmless, and it wouldn't have mattered. They wouldn't have gone through the length of doing anything with it.
Discovering a truth so powerful that it couldn't be allowed to exist?
Yes.
Or was it all just an elaborate fantasy? One thing's for sure. This story leaves us with more questions than answers. And perhaps that's exactly what makes it so intriguing. If you want to dive deeper into...
Yeah, we're good. Thanks. Okay. Okay. We'll get into that in a minute. Yeah, so when you go look for that weird book, The Adventures in the Orgasmatron, you can't find it. Like, you can't find it for free download. What the hell? Alright. So you go to this, you click this, borrow unavailable, and there's no downloadable here. Although they show it there, so I don't know why it would be unavailable. And this is they're talking about Wilhelm Reich in the book, but it's not exactly, we don't know because I haven't read it, and whether or not, which way they're going with the story. If they're trying to further talk poo-poo about him or use him for some other plot, that there as a plot device for some other message they're trying to, influence you with or convince you of, I don't know. The story of it says PDF Adventures. It's not there, but the story of the sexual revolution that brought Freud's couch to the explosion of the 60s. What does that even mean? And left field pioneer Wilhelm Reich. And the left field pioneer Wilhelm Reich, who made it happen. Hold on, let's see what SciSpace has to say. It's a book review. So that's all you get. Anyway. So then this one's long. We're not going to watch all of it, but let's hear what everybody has to... What do you think? What are you guys thinking so far on this? Why is that constantly happening? All right, let's try that. All right, that worked. Jesus fucking Christ. Short translation, CIA. Yeah. And did they actually burn it? I'm guessing not. Probably not. If they can use it for themselves, I'm sure that they would have, if it was of any use at all, but definitely not for the people, not for those goy, not for the masses. And for the most part, they're usually right, but it's kind of hard to argue, to say that, there's so many dumb people out there, and they're high licks and all that stuff, and not just pause for a moment and take into consideration what have they been put through throughout their lives besides indoctrination, filling their heads with a bunch of bullshit, making them identify with things that aren't legitimate, conditioning and programming them to think a certain way, which is completely counterintuitive and self-destructive, because they're putting their trust. They've been trained to put their trust in bad things and bad people and bad institutions. They've been poisoned with fluoride and every other thing, food, water, and air. Shitty diet, no nutrients They were developed in the womb without the proper nutrients at that time, developmental issues, vaccinations up the wazoo in every other area. And then you're like, well, these people are dull. They don't have any, they're ineffectual, and they don't have a high comprehension level for the world around them. And then you call them, the lower masses goy. But isn't that a manufactured result? Like, granted, there's some people out there that probably are just, human pieces of wood. But how would we be inundated by so many of them if it wasn't for that whole process? At what point do you say, well, this is a direct result of you manufacturing that issue so that you could be superior to them, so that you could control them, so that you could feel superior when you're not? You know what I mean? And how much really is it they're doing as well, that they flood ethnic European areas with all kinds of low intellect people who are primitive in their behaviors, and incentivize them by taking your money to feed them and to house them and to give them a free ride, an easy ride, so that they feel entitled. And then they have multiple children that you then have to pay more for, and they gain more money. So they keep on replicating, like, or they're procreating like rabbits. And then there's a lot more dumb people than smart people. Gee, did you create that? This is what they want. They want a bunch of whatever you want to call goy, but the result is the same. They're producing the very thing that they then complain about, because that's how they roll. What would happen if more people didn't get put through that process, that the lower intellect people weren't incentivized to continue to make more of themselves? And that's not eugenics. That's just simple common sense. When you make it very difficult for people who are productive members of society to have a family or a big family, and you're constantly flooding the food supply and the medical establishment and everything that they go to for ingestion or whatever of substances is poisoned, or is poison itself. You're even in your drinking water. Like, how much of that plays into, and then the shots, and then the schooling, to developing somebody who is dull, who doesn't have an imagination, who isn't, curious. Curiosity is stomped out of you in school. The reward punishment program throughout school for being different, for being an individual, for having your own set of ideas and thoughts that you want to explore, is completely crushed by academia, which they also control. So they control an artificial world bubble around people. And then when they get the exact results of all of that manipulation, they then have this air of superiority over it. But those people may not have turned out that way if it wasn't for all that effort. It wasn't for all that manipulation. It wasn't for all that poisoning. And we're weaker because of it, and there's your answer as to why. And Karen says, yep, my guess is most human behavior has been engineered, and the level depends on location. If we're trained not to think, or to not think, most won't realize they're not thinking. Right. Like I phrased that too. Love, work, and knowledge are the well springs of our life. They should also govern it. Wilhelm Reich, MD. Mad doctor. Irvat chimes in and says something quite very what do you call it? Deep, provocative. I don't know. I'm just being funny anyway. The term "people" is really pushing it for the groids. Make it make sense. Oh, wait, that's a different video.
In Vienna's 8th district, a plaque identifies an apartment building where Dr. Wilhelm Reich once lived and worked.
We burned that too. No, just kidding.
In the Wilmersdorf section
That's a very interesting little window cut out there, isn't it? Jeez. Is that Masonic at all? Maybe? I don't know. Or the old vagine? What are you looking at there?
Berlin, there's a commemorative plaque as well.
Well, that's it. Thank you. Thanks for showing up. The rest is just going to be stock footage from here on out. There's a plaque there. Bye now.
And until it disappeared or was stolen, one in Oslo. And in America, a stone building that once housed Reich's library and laboratory in Rangeley, Maine,
We burned that too.
is listed on the National Register of Historic Places.
And then we painted it cyan so people would know that it was our doing. Remember, before you get too crazy one way or the other, just remember he's an Oife.
4 days before
Hey,
the
that's my birthday. You guys should get me something nice.
outbreak of World War II, Dr. Wilhelm Reich, an Austrian psychiatrist, research physician, and prominent anti-Nazi, arrived.
Well, that ain't good. Sorry. Another strike against you, sir. A prominent anti-national socialist, so you don't want a strong nation? People who have an identity? Wow. Well, whatever you did, with whatever research you did, you obviously didn't do it for the good of the people. Just maybe to show off, because, you know, that having that recognition, or as we say these days, attention and views, is all that I wanted. It's all he wanted. I think he went rogue. Too bad he didn't inspire himself to realize that the National Socialists were the good guys. Yeah, Jews can't do that, though.
York. 3 months earlier in Oslo, Reich had dismantled his biological laboratory and shipped it ahead of him to New York.
It's funny. I know it's not pronounced that way, but it just looks like it says Institute Fur. It was a furry institute.
And
That goes
as
fast.
Wilhelm Reich's old world was collapsing, safe in the new world, he settled in the Forest Hills section of New York City, where he
Where all the Jews go?
resumed his cancer research. By the end of 1939, after 4
So why is
months
the psychiatrist doing cancer research? He was more than just a psychoanalyst, I'm assuming.
in America, Wilhelm Reich had much to be hopeful about. His promising cancer experiments and his renewed contact
With, Anne Frank, apparently.
with his daughters.
Oh, my bad. They all had big noses, too.
But what Reich did not know
What
was
the
that
fuck
only
is that
a few
noise?
months after his arrival, he was
Sorry.
being investigated by the State Department because of false claims made by confidential sources that he'd been a paid communist agent.
How do you know it's false?
Over the
Isn't communism and Judaism kind of Bolshevism? How do you separate them?
next 7 years, 3 more government agencies would
That
investigate.
might have been what they used as the excuse to open a file and investigate him, but and then they'd have that on the back burner in case he did come up with something that they didn't like. I'm sure everybody's got a file on him.
him.
Back in the old ways, now they just look at your social media and come and kill you.
And Reich, whose publications had been banned by
Even here, he's cognizant of his nose. He said, "It's right here. Yep. Remember, I'm a J."
both the Communist and Nazi parties in Europe, would live to see his publications banned and burned
He sounds like he's a little bit on the Magnus Hirschfeld side, doesn't he? Or Hirschfeld? Something like that.
by order of a federal court in America.
We don't play like that around here. You gotta go out to Berlin if you want to do that shit.
Although Reich never belonged to the Communist Party in America, he had been a significant figure in left-wing movements in Europe.
Well, what the fuck? It wasn't an accusation of... It wasn't just a blind accusation.
That opposed Nazism and fascism.
Two great things that were going against the Bolshevik scumbags. What they've turned the word fascism into is very ugly and stupid and very low intellect. But fascism, National Socialism, I'm just saying, if we rewind the clock and sided with them instead, the world would be an amazing place right now. We'd have flying cars. Oh, and we wouldn't be set up for extermination by AI and a bunch of tech bro homosexuals either.
In 1927, you had a great uprising in Vienna with the burning of the Palace of Justice, a public demonstration where many people got shot.
The demonstration was triggered by the acquittal of several right-wing monarchists accused of firing into a Socialist Party rally. Killing a man...
Yeah, having rogue radicals that do things that make you look bad is also a tactic of the very people that are targeted by that. And then they can say, see, look, they're violent. See, look, these right-wing extremists are violent and crazy, and they're shooting at people for being socialists. They're shooting at people for just randomly because they have different views, and they're a bunch of racists and this and that and the other thing. It's like, yeah, but who set that up? Who were those people that actually did that? I mean, you could have the wrong idea because you're also a stupid person, but you think you're doing right by doing something that is above and beyond what other people would have the courage or the stupidity to do. Thinking that you're doing something good, but you're actually bringing down the whole movement or people or belief system, because you have to be at a higher level if you want people to take you seriously and see you as being the just cause. You can't go around doing random acts of stupidity and violence, targeting whoever just because they happen to be a thing. I just don't have a whole lot of sympathy for socialist in the sense that we're talking about like Bolshevik, Soviet Union type socialist, rather than, a National Socialist, which is a completely different thing.
An 8-year-old boy.
A verdict resulting in a riot that Wilhelm Reich witnessed.
I'm gonna go say hello to my daughter. I'll be back in a second. Hold on. Do bang. Do.
Reich war eben dort.
Reich happened to be right there.
Yeah, Karen, but the thing is that it hasn't ever done that. Now all of a sudden it's doing it because I think AI is just fucking changing things on my computer constantly. You restart your computer or it restarts on you, and then the OS, the operating system, is new again. It's different now, and I never had any of these things set up for any kind of audio, and now they're just like bong. Like that's not supposed to happen.
Witnessed police shooting at demonstrators, later asking himself how that could happen, since both sides were of the working class.
Seiten sind es eigentlich Arbeiter.
Why would one worker fire on another?
Ein Arbeiter auf dem anderen, ja. Und
this radicalized him politically. That very same day, he joined either a socialist physicians organization or possibly a physicians group affiliated with the Communist Party.
Oder die Kommunistische Partei.
The uprising left 82 dead and over 600 wounded. As a psychiatrist and psychoanalyst, Reich was deeply troubled by the irrationality of the demonstrators, the police, and the political leaders.
Reich was interested in the whole mass psychology of the demonstration that he witnessed.
2 weeks later, he discussed his concerns with his mentor, Dr. Sigmund Freud, who had written about group psychology several years earlier.
The relationship between Freud and Reich is, in itself, a very interesting one.
Wilhelm Reich was, without doubt, one of the very central pupils of Sigmund Freud in his generation.
He was admitted into the Psychoanalytic Association in 1920 while still a student in Vienna.
By 1927, however, his relationship with Freud and the Psychoanalytic Association had already begun to cool. Being radicalized into a left-wing physicians group was the start of his public anti-fascist activities, which would lead to significant upheavals with Freud. But from early on, Reich was never a stranger to upheavals. Wilhelm Reich was born in 1897 in Galicia, in the northeastern corner of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. He grew up in an assimilated Jewish family in Bukovina, what is today Western Ukraine.
We know that Reich had a traumatic life, terrible losses in his early life.
He had a big trauma in his youth when he told his father
Herskowitz. God damn it.
His mother was having an affair with his tutor.
Wow, weird.
He felt responsible for his mother's death.
That's a big trauma which you carry for the rest of your life.
Reich was 13 when his mother committed suicide. 4 years later, his father died of tuberculosis.
Sounds like
and
a
several
good
months
thing.
after that,
Reich left the Reich.
World War I began. Within days, Russian troops swept across the border into Bukovina. Reich narrowly escaped being taken to Russia as a hostage and fled south. Later he wrote, "I never saw either my homeland or my possessions again." Of a well-to-do
So that sounds like the, yeah, whatever.
past, nothing was left.
Why is that still there?
Reich joined the Austrian army and, between 1916 and 1918, served on the Italian front 3 times, rising in the ranks from corporal to lieutenant to company commander. On the front, he came face to face with the inhumanity of war and its machine-like nature. The experience would remain with him for the rest of his life.
He arrives in Vienna practically a pauper.
These years, the end of World War I and the end of the Habsburg monarchy, were a time of tremendous change. The monarchy had lasted over 6 centuries, and in one fell swoop, it no longer existed. In Vienna, there were armed bands on the left and on the right of the political spectrum.
In January
Yeah,
1919,
that person was burned to
Reich
shit.
began medical school at the University of Vienna, where he met Otto Fenischel, a 4th-year student with a deep interest in psychoanalysis.
Fenischel had already attended lectures by Freud at the university, so was a bit more advanced intellectually.
Fenischel was very much interested in the question of sexuality.
Of course he was.
That was not so much discussed. And,
Of course they were. They're all trying to justify and validate their sick Talmudic ways.
University and medical school.
Sexuality was also central to Reich's thinking. In his diary that first semester, he wrote,
He looks like he's a gobbler.
"Observations of myself and others have led me to the conviction that sexuality is the core around which all social life, as well as the inner spiritual life of the individual, revolves." And because
Just ask the OnlyFans.
the medical school offered no courses in sexology, Fenischel and several students had organized their own sexology seminars.
It's through.
Even through war and all kinds of crazy famine and pestilence, the main thing on their mind is perversions. Yeah, that sounds that's right in line with the cult.
Fenischel and his study group at the university that Reich is first introduced to psychoanalysis.
Unimpressed with most of the student discussions, Reich embarked on an ambitious agenda of reading the leading sexology literature of the day.
It's not looking good for our friend here. It's not our friend. Whoops, what the hell?
He later wrote that it was 2 volumes by Freud which determined his choice of profession. But, he added, before signing myself over to psychoanalysis, I acquired a general knowledge of natural science and natural philosophy. I was impelled to do this by my interest in the basic theme of
I
sexuality.
think natural could be put in quotation marks.
What he found most impressive about Freud was his concrete and scientific thinking about the libido.
Freud, from the 1890s onward, had postulated the existence of something called libido that he envisioned as the real physical something that was going on behind psychic drives.
This was what distinguished him from all other psychologists, and that was the natural scientific principle of energy, libido.
Where does the impulse to have sex come from? Is there some chemical reaction in the body, or is there some kind of a transformation of energy from one form into another?
That libido theory hooked up, for the first time in the history of science, psychology with natural science. Until Freud, psychology was something beyond natural science.
Freud, because of his background in laboratory science, assumed that what was behind psychic impulses was something we should surely be able to study and measure in a laboratory.
During his second semester, Reich became the leader of the sexology
Oh
seminar.
my god, alright. There should be a natural instinct to procreate, to continue on the mankind, right? The species. Yeah, whatever.
And went to some of Vienna's pioneers in the field to secure literature for his fellow medical students.
Adler.
Freud's personality, he said, made the strongest and most lasting impression.
Why I went to Freud in 1919, I read his things and I saw what he did. Yes, so I went to him. There was immediate contact. He had an aliveness which a usual human being doesn't have. Yes, his eyes were good. He looked right straight, you know. He didn't have any pose. I just told him that we are medical students, that we find that there's no curriculum on sexology in the medical schools whatsoever, that I, with my colleagues, want to correct that situation, yes, and that we want his help. And he was very ready to do so. He said, it's very important. It's crucial to have it. It's a neglected subject.
Freud is very supportive of him. Freud sends him patients even before he's finished medical school.
I began to analyze. I had my first patient, I think, in March 1920. I didn't take any money.
The whole idea in psychoanalysis was to make forbidden sexual
Have you noticing all the last names of these people that they're talking to?
urges conscious, to show the person that what's at the heart of their symptom is a repressed sexuality.
Of course. And you have to free that. Otherwise, you're being oppressed and suppressed and blah, 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 and yada, yada. Cut off your testicles, wear a dress, all this shit.
Psychoanalysis works with a word, and with the unconscious idea. That's its tool, which is handling of associations, word images.
Simply to let the patient free associate and for the analyst to make interpretations at a
That's
certain
mystic or magical thinking.
point.
But Reich soon realized
Why is this thing
that
turning
free
off?
association alone had its limitations.
There was a problem, a dilemma about what to do when the associations didn't come. The patient was silent, the patient repeated things over and over again, the patient talked about things which may have been on his or her mind, but obviously not very important or relevant to the treatment. What do you do?
Another problem Reich discovered was
Yeah,
that
you're right, Karen. It didn't happen until the new phone, so there's something correlated with that. And I am linked up to this, but that's a different sound. That's a PC sound that's happening. And wow. Yeah, it's all screwed up now.
even when he succeeded in making his patients conscious of their sexual repressions, their neurotic symptoms often persisted, which made him question why psychoanalysis seldom produced any real cure.
Stop fading out.
During his last semester of medical school, Reich married Annie Pink. 5 years younger than Reich, Annie was also a medical student and a former patient of his.
Oh, that's convenient.
Within a few years, they would have 2 daughters. And like Reich, Annie would become a prominent psychoanalyst. After graduating from medical school, Reich's interest in schizophrenia drew him to postgraduate work in neuropsychiatry at the University of Vienna Clinic. Its head was Julius Vog.
Yeah, you know, there's a lot to be said about the schizophrenia thing too. Could be parasitic, something that's controlling you from within, which actual biological element to it. There's a lot of other things, but it doesn't always pan out to be a real diagnosis. And there's other things, other factors involved. It's not exactly pinned down that that's a thing, but it's whatever. There's so many things that these psychiatrists produce that seem more like a trap or trapping for getting rid of political dissenters. So if you don't think in a certain way, well, then we label you this. Just like they say patriotism and nationalism are mental illnesses. You see where I'm going with that.
Joreg, who went on to win the Nobel Prize in Medicine in 1927. Thus, by the age of 25, Reich had the distinction of having studied with both the father of psychoanalysis and with one of the world's premier neuropsychiatrists.
Which means what, though? They're making in these days, they're making the shit up as they go. And it's just sticking because of their titles.
Began working at the newly established psychoanalytic polyclinic.
Is that a Zionist convention? Oh, no, it's just a bunch of psychiatrists. Oh, same thing.
Also known as the ambulatorium.
The staff there was mainly unpaid and worked with the poorer classes.
Ordinary people coming with sexual problems, with medical problems, with psychiatric problems.
Reich's wide range of patient experience made him increasingly aware of the shortcomings of Freudian techniques.
His patients weren't getting well, at least not to the extent that he thought was necessary. And of course, he already had, certain ideas about what was necessary.
One of these ideas was the creation of a technical seminar to discuss case histories and to improve and standardize therapeutic techniques where few had existed.
Exactly, Vegas of Aces. He says the deeper you go down any rabbit hole, the more you realize that the T is always silent. The rabbi hole. And Karen says, what's that new ICD code? Something about authority opposition disorder? Oh, like oppositional defiance disorder? Or something? Follow the narrative or you're labeled it. Right. Especially when you're doing something unjust to somebody and or you're trying to force a worldview onto somebody they're not taking it. They're not under the ether. Different type of ether than ethereal energy, right? They're not under the drug ether. They're not in the spell. So they're an outlier. Your bullshit isn't working on them. They see through your bullshit. Therefore, they're oppositionally defiant, and then you can label them and put them away somewhere.
The idea of the technical seminar, that was the first of its kind.
Isn't opposition itself defiant? Whatever.
And I had discussed it with Freud.
Redundant.
He liked it very much. And that was really the birthplace of the modern psychoanalytic technique.
But even with
which is absolute trash, by the way.
Techniques, making patients conscious of their sexual repressions.
Even if they didn't know about it, you're planting seeds. You're planting seeds. You have a vulnerable, unstable individual, and you're explaining to them that this has everything to do with the fact that you're not doing this and that sexually. And I'm sure there's some trauma in there, too. We got to throw in some trauma.
Did not necessarily eliminate their neurotic symptoms, for which Freud had an explanation.
Freud says that it's biology, that humans have something like a self-destructive death instinct.
Reich did not have this idea that neurosis was inevitable. Freud had the idea.
Reich concluded that curing neurotic symptoms required more than just making patients conscious of their sexual repressions.
The more they were able to develop a healthy and happy relationship with a partner, the more rapidly and completely their neurotic symptoms diminished.
Consequently, Reich began to recognize the therapeutic significance of the most intimate human experience, the orgasm.
So the prerequisite for emotional health is the capacity to experience an orgasm, which is a convulsion of the entire body musculature.
Reich called this capacity to experience complete
It's like aliens talking about something that's just inherent with people. It really doesn't seem like they're human. It's like they have to. They're explaining it as if they're completely disconnected from it. They have to analyze it. They're studying human beings because they're not those things. Other people don't have these discussions, not because they're not deep so much as it's just you're describing the water type of thing when you're drowning.
Orgastic potency, a concept he introduced in a paper at the Congress of the International Psychoanalytic Association in 1924.
Yes, add drugs, make it stronger feeling with certain types of drugs. I'm sure there's going to be cocaine and meth here soon enough with Freud.
Potency is the focus, the aim of treatment.
Opening up to the movement of energy, to the flow of energy, whatever that energy might be, within the body.
Where did you come from, bro?
It's not just about how much you have sex.
It's the quality.
It's about whether, when you have sex, it's gratifying and discharges the built-up energy. Rarely do summaries of Reich's work take the trouble to
this has a very Aleister Crowley-like feel to it, doesn't it?
actually lay
The sexual energy for ritual purposes.
out in detail enough so that people understand the difference between orgastic potency and having sex all the time or being really sexually active.
What I mean is primary emotional experience of the merger of two organisms. Not the embrace in itself, not the intercourse. It is a real emotional experience of the loss of your ego, of your whole spiritual self in that experience.
It's interesting
But
you said
Reich's
that part.
concept of orgastic potency as the therapeutic goal conflicted directly with Freud's ideas about the libido.
Freud's idea of libido was that it was something that could never be satisfied. And not only couldn't it be satisfied, but it's better that it not be satisfied because civilization would crumble.
I'm always astonished when I listen to such things or read it. That's nonsense. Perfect nonsense.
One of his central studies as a psychiatrist.
Well, if he's in opposition to some of Freud's bullshit that they're trying to press upon the people, that was another strike against him as far as the cult of medicine is concerned.
Psychiatrist was called The Function of the Orgasm, and he wrote it in 1926 and gave it to Freud on his 70th birthday. What is kind of like the apex of sexuality? It's the orgasm. Reich went there as a first pioneer.
He's a superb expounder of his theories. There's just a headlong quality to his writing.
He articulated the orgasm
Did he really say headlong talking about an orgasm without smiling?
theory for the first time.
That there's some kind of physical measurable energy or chemical substance or something that builds up, and the energy behind drives that became neurotic seemed to be the energy of sexual excitation that didn't get discharged the way it should have.
And that with the establishment of orgastic potency, the energy source of the neurosis is done away with.
Freud.
This all sounds like there's something going on nutritionally too, as to why all these things are either dulled or accentuated or in overdrive. There's some other nutritional element that's missing.
Didn't really go for this idea.
Also die Freud-Reich-Beziehung hat...
The Freud-Reich relationship suffers its first blow when Freud reacts to Reich's function of the orgasm
und nicht sehr begeistert.
with reluctance and muted enthusiasm.
Karen, that's hilarious. I can't believe you just wrote that. Vegas Oasis says, one tribe stands out, genetically deprived of morals. And Karen says, well, this is so enlightening. I'll be back in 30 minutes. I'm just joking. I'm out of batteries anyhow. Ew. Just kidding.
Despite Freud's misgivings, as editor of the International Psychoanalytic Press, he agreed to
30 minutes, Karen. Jesus.
Shit the following year. Reich's theories about the significance of the orgasm and of orgastic potency would become the cornerstones of his work.
Oh, sorry. I already did.
And tragically, would become the most misunderstood and distorted aspects of his
The
legacy.
sex machine? Therapy by witchcraft. Wow. The health machine menace. Therapy by witchcraft. Now, this is what they're claiming his device is about. This doesn't necessarily mean that that's what it is about. The Dr. Reich's wonderful sex
6
machine.
months after The Function of the Orgasm was published, Reich witnessed the burning of the Palace of Justice in Vienna and became radicalized.
Then I went out. Out where the people were. 1927, 1928, 1929, 1930. And I began to be interested in Marx, Engels. I had to.
Of course you had to,
They were
right?
very great men.
They were great men. Oh, dude, you've strike however many you're out, bro.
For Reich, the insights that Marxism brought to the human condition
Ah.
were as fundamental as those of psychoanalysis.
Of course it would be. Complete and utter fucking maniacs who hated mankind. That's exactly the source of what inspires you to look into perversions. Abso-fucking-lutely. Every goddamn time. Every time.
He observed that just as Marxism made man conscious of the laws of economics and the exploitation of the working class, psychoanalysis made man conscious of society's repression of sex.
See what they do? See what they do? Perversion can't be separated from these people. It can't be. It all spins back around on itself like a hamster wheel. Communism, Marxism, Bolshevik bullshit. It's all because everybody who's a goy is so repressive and backward and upside down, and not to mention the fact that they're the inverted ones, but that doesn't matter. You have to attack the norm, destroy it, destroy all social norms, create a new normal, erode the morality of the society, destroy the family, which is exactly what they want in Marxism. That's all oppression. We want all the sex and the highest of the orgasms, but we don't want family or procreation, especially if you guys. Come on, man.
From his therapeutic work and from studying case histories, Reich
Of other assholes, right? Yeah, Yeah, it's just an echo chamber. Oh, these assholes said these crazy things too, so that validates my crazy things, because these crazy people said these crazy things, and they're all part of the same freaking cult of Judaism supremacy. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
that sexual disturbance and neuroses were widely prevalent, like an epidemic,
They're describing themselves.
and were caused by a variety of
They project it onto everyone else who's living life just fine and completely content. But no, you don't understand. We have to do all this shit to society so that our craziness and our perversions are socially acceptable, so we don't have to do it in hiding, because we're the elite ones and we shouldn't have to hide what we actually are to the majority of the public. So we're either going to have to kill you or you're going to have to become depraved like us.
oppressive social influences. He was now convinced that individual therapy had very limited scope, that the focus should be on preventing widespread neuroses.
Yes.
Which meant changing repressive social conditions.
Which you don't want to have neuroses, do you? Well, you better start having wild orgiastic encounters. Is that not like, I don't know, the Sibylline cult, the cult of Baal, the fertility cults? Fucking Jack was right. Jack, you were right.
Changes that might best be achieved through the Communist Party. Freud, however, disapproved of Reich's radical ideas about preventing neuroses, telling him, "It is not the task of psychoanalysis to save the world."
There is a parasite, regardless if it's a possession of like a Dybbuk, disembodied evil spirit. And some people say, "Oh, that's a particular like individual named Dybbuk." That's not true. It's a disembodied evil spirit. Dybbuk could be multiple Dybbuks, or jinn, or some other weird thing. Like if they're into the crafty of the witch, they could be conjuring it into themselves, or there could be a parasitic thing, or they themselves could just simply be these disassociated, sociopathic, dead inside, no tether to anything that teaches them right from wrong. Inherently, it's just not there. So basically, they're tools of the devil, creations of him, perhaps, of the demiurge himself, of Kronos, of Saturn, of the devil.
And Reich was also envied by a lot of the older analysts in Vienna. Many of them talked ill of him to Freud behind his back, and he knew this, so eventually he thinks Berlin is a better turf.
In Vienna, the Communist Party was a small splinter group.
Wilhelm Reich in Berlin.
In Berlin, Wilhelm Reich simply saw more opportunity to expand.
More opportunity because there was more communism in the perverted fucking Berlin. Oh my god, this is just going straight there, isn't it? He's going to be butt fucking Hirschfeld by the end of this.
And intensify his sexual political activities, and could expect more support there.
Before moving to Berlin in 1930, he met with Freud for what would be the last time. A meeting he recalled 2 decades later in his study in
Hurting my
Rangeland,
eyes. Why is it 7:20, bro? What are you doing? I had the impression caged animal. Okay.
Reich was now 33 years old.
33! Of course they had to mention that part. This whole thing
He
is
and
a
Bonnie would soon
psyop.
be leaving their friends and colleagues in Vienna.
Hey, grabblers grabblin'. Grabblers will agree grabbling. Look at those dead eyes on that chick. The dead stare. She went her whole life without a chin. Just goes from neck to teeth. That's his wife.
Over the next 2.5 years in Germany, his life, both personally and professionally, would undergo profound transformation.
Yeah, you can't be having wives.
Aber Deutschland wird bestehen. Wir werden sterben, aber Deutschland muss leben. Jetzt!
Let me guess, they're going to paint this man in a bad light because they've been blowing smoke up the ass of Wilhelm the Communist Bolshevik Reich. The Reich? Imagine if he was Wilhelm Reich III. Wouldn't that have been ironic?
Shortly before he arrived, the Nazis had become the second strongest party in Germany, and it was clear which way things were heading.
There were confrontations everywhere, between the left and the right, communists and Nazis.
National Socialists, you piece of shit.
Berlin, Reich very quickly becomes a member of the Communist Party, which
Of course he
was
did.
interested in creating a sexual reform organization of its own.
Right, that's what they were most interested in. It was a complete perversion and destruction of the German people. Of course. Of course they were. And he was part of it. Jesus Christ, man. So I haven't looked into Wilhelm Reich before this deeply, right? I just knew about the Cloudbuster. I've heard about the Orgone energy machine or the box or whatever. And I see all these idiots that go to these conventions, which, I mean, if you think of the UFO community, even though they pretend to be like these, a lot of them anyway, like the late David Wilcock, who thinks he's talking to the president or the president should contact him and all this other nonsense in his life. And he's got all this disclosure. They pretend to be MAGA whatevers, or there's white hat coming and deep state this and that and the other thing. But it's a communist it's a communist convention. I used to call it communists in the desert instead of contact in the desert. I went there twice, but I went there for 2018 and 2019, and then the coronavirus happened. But I went there to see specific people. Brian Forrester and the other guy whose name escapes me. Of course, I can only see his face in my mind, but I can't think of his name. But he was the main draw. Michael Tellinger, that was the other one. And the second year, I got to meet Robert Schock. And the first year I met Giorgio Tsoukalos. Is it possible? Well, anything's possible. And the answer is yes. So therefore, we must be right. Because every time that there was ancient Aryans, we replaced that with ancient aliens to completely take away all of your history, of all of your accomplishments, and give it to some imaginary bullshit. Is it possible? Yeah. He was decent the first time I met him. He wasn't so decent the second time. Message was removed by moderator. What happened? What'd I miss? Anything good?
Und das Wilhelm Reich. The party's official newspaper, Die Rote Fahne, was quick to report that Reich had joined Berlin's Communist Party and taken part in street skirmishes.
Oh, did he? He took part in violence against the order, the natural order, the wanting to preserve their dignity and their identity. Oh boy. Oh boy.
So he'd arrived in Berlin in
okay,
November
thanks, Karen.
1930, and by January of 31, his name showed up in police reports tracking potential enemies of the state. It's well documented that from then on, his movements were closely monitored.
And then there were his lectures at Marsh, the Marxist Workers' University.
Why was that a
The
thing?
Marxist School for Workers held about 2,000 events a year, attended by about 7,000 participants.
It's a lot of events a year.
It was a huge institution with branches in a lot of German cities.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
Albert Einstein was one of its lecturers.
Of course he was. He was a genocidal madman who hated German people. Long before there was ever an Adolf.
Reich was deeply involved there and within a short time became one of its most important lecturers.
He founded Sexpol, an education...
Every single thing that supposedly shaped our worldview was put through the filter of this demonic evil cult in recent years, in the last 100 at least in America, or more. And everybody, whenever they think of somebody smart, they say Einstein instead of Tesla. They say Einstein instead of Charles Porteous Steinmetz. They say Tesla instead of Robert not that Maxwell. Forgot what's his actual name? Is it Kurt Maxwell or something like that?
Youth organization with about 10,000 members, hoping to recruit young people for the revolution through sexual political issues.
Right, you have to have some sort of allure to these nonsensical things. So add sex will sell.
But it was obvious the Communist Party was interested only in attracting voters and understood that sexuality was a way to score points and recruit the politically
What'd I just say?
uninvolved.
What'd I just say?
That's why they were interested in Reich. They certainly never wanted what he wanted.
Das heißt, das, was Reich eigentlich wollte, wollten die, glaube ich, nie.
A key example of the party's ambivalence toward Reich was its reluctance in 1931 to publish his manuscript, The Sexual Struggle of Youth. A candid discussion of reproduction,
Sexual conf. Jesus Christ.
sexual tension and satisfaction, the effects of social conditions on the sexuality of youth, and other issues. In Moscow, the Central Youth Committee kept postponing its publication, and so, in early 1932, Reich founded his own private press. Meanwhile, his personal life was about to change significantly. While marching in the 1932 May Day demonstration, Reich met Elsa Lindenberg.
May Day. Another communist day, right? May 1st. It's a communist holiday.
a 26-year-old dancer with the City Opera of Berlin. Soon, they became romantically involved.
They were both in the communist
She had a chin.
movement. She was interested in his psychoanalytic ideas.
Even after Reich told Annie of this relationship, they stayed together with their daughters.
What a piece of shit.
Also was to become the great love of Reich's life.
Nobody sees any problem with this morality, right?
He gives him
Lack of.
new knowledge about the body, bodily movement, dancing, breathing, the body as...
Listen, you can make anything sound like it's so much deeper and so much more profound just by the bullshit words that you choose. He was having an affair with a chick that was more attractive than his wife. Surprisingly, he was able to land 2 chicks at all, but she moved, and this was really good for his research about the bodily movements and like, shut the fuck up already. Yes, she was crucial to his exploration of biology. Yeah, that's a funny way of putting that there, dick face.
A biological pulsating entity.
Pulsating. Yeah, no, everything's said with a straight face here.
In fact, several years earlier in Vienna, Reich had already been focusing on the body language of his patients in a therapeutic approach he called character analysis.
He thought of therapy already in a much more global sense. It involved the character. It involved a person's behavior. It involved, in the end, it involved the body.
People in psychoanalysis had just been
All
paying
Jews. All Jews.
attention to words, but not to the body.
Whereas Freud opened up the whole world of unconscious mind, thought, desires, and so on, I succeeded in going further. Character analysis.
Why did they burn these fucking tapes?
The reading of expression. Character analysis is wordless, without words.
And naturally, Reich placed an increasing emphasis on the soma, physiology, life science, body tension. All that interested him. He was a pioneer of body therapy.
Are they using soma in a different sense than the drug that they say that they don't know how they made it? Taking the soma.
20s, there was no such word as psychosomatic.
That the body and the mind
Ah!
really are only 2 faces of
You need a different one. Get the other face.
coin itself. Neither one represents the coin. And Reich had the
See what I mean? You could just word salad your way through anything.
to see that very clearly.
He would see
Give whoever you guys intermingled with back their fucking blue eyes, because you don't deserve them, sir.
the facial expression, the eye expression, the general body attitude, how freely the chest was moving, patients' postures, the way they spoke, the tone of voice, the way they walked.
Reich observed that these personal and physical attitudes were expressions of hidden and repressed emotions.
Of course, because that's the filter that you want to see everything through. Maybe inhibition or you know, I don't know, just being in control of not being animalistic is a virtue that is assigned to humans to be higher than animals and animal instincts in the first place, to have and understand the impulse, but to control it. Like, they are all about transmuting energy in their mysticism and Kabbalism and all these other cultish things. But why is it that they can't see that there is restraint necessary to make a better human being out of you? No, you have to express it to its fullest and be a complete maniac, predator to others, and groomer. That's when you have fully grasped what it is to be sexually liberated at the expense of everyone around you.
He called these expressions character armor and muscular armor.
Reich paid a lot of attention to these postures and these expressions.
Nonverbal.
It's called eroding of ethics and morality and values.
Of behavior. And he was not only paying attention to them, but he was beginning to work with them.
This is like body behavior analysis. A lot of it is based on pseudoscience. A lot of people have certain, like, there could be nervous things that people do, but when they apply it to, they have a criminal and they're using their stupid tactics in a room where they're already going to be anxious. The same types of body movements can happen just simply for the fact that you're worried, concerned, you're being put on the spot. But then they're going to utilize their pseudoscience to say that these things meant something, and it's this thing that it meant. It means you were guilty of this or that or the other thing. Is that really true, or is that because they have already decided that you're going to be guilty and they have the pseudoscience there if they want to use it against that person that will say, oh, well, this is a scientific, endeavor that we're undergoing here. And this, analysis means something. And it always means this one thing. It's always the same thing. And therefore this person is either lying, they're hiding something. You can be guarded of all kinds of information that doesn't make you a killer. It doesn't make you guilty of anything. Sometimes it's just nobody's fucking business. Or some other thing is happening inside them. There's some other anxious emotion that's coming out, and they're reading it the way that they want to read it through their bias and saying that this body language analysis is 100% accurate and this person is very suspicious. We need to find the evidence to convict that person, because we already know he's guilty based on the way he's behaving. I don't buy it because it's coming from this cult.
One goes to the part of the body that is held in tension in order to repress emotions. And when one works physically on that part of the body, emotions are evoked, often that one never had suspicion of their existence.
Right, because you're leading people to a certain idea and belief through your prompting and how you're coaching them to think about something, and then you're applying some kind of validity to it, that it's something that means something. You're putting emphasis on it, and then you're making it all about that thing. And then you're convincing them that that's the only thing that will set them free. And then you're going to take that bullshit coaching that you did on that person and present it to the world as, this is what's repressing it. We gotta save society. How do we save society? By making them all animalistic fucking maniac predators that just do what thou wilt. Oh, wow. How about that?
So if you could eliminate the armor, then the organism would be functioning in a healthy way.
So it's a much more direct...
These people never stop with this. They're this old and they're still talking about sex.
...way of getting at who one is than through exploring the unconscious.
You mean sex?
At the end of 1932, Reich finished his manuscript about character analysis, and in January 1933, Freud agreed to publish it.
That's funny, Karen.
By this time, Reich had fallen out of favor with the German Communist Party, despite his many anti-Nazi speeches and lectures. Because of his book for young people, which he'd published privately, his publication...
A book for young people about sex. Is that right?
Activities were now banned within the party.
It was too much for the communist Bolsheviks. Let that sink in.
An article appeared in the Nazi press in March 1933, attacking him in his book, The Sexual Struggle of Youth.
How much do you want to bet the burning of his papers over here wasn't the first time someone burned some of his writings? Maybe they were thrown on the pile with Magnus's bullshit. You think?
He knew it was time to return to Vienna.
Wilhelm Reich needed to flee Berlin at that time because he was, the Nazis would have killed him.
Well, maybe they should have. And then would they have, or would they have, just made him less influential? he would have been out of favor with the society that was regaining its footing. I don't know if they would have killed him unless he was committing acts of violence. But he's basically a Bolshevik that was rejected from the Bolsheviks. So now that he doesn't have the protection of the party, he has to flee because he's a man without a master. He's a Ronin now. He's pissed everybody off. He should have just put the knife in the gut and pulled sideways, right?
For his outspokenness.
But the Vienna to which Reich returned was now embroiled in its own political turmoil. The right-wing government had just dissolved the parliament.
You notice how they say that like it's a bad thing, like the right wing. I hate these stupid labels coming through. This is all very Jewish. This whole presentation here.
And Freud, whose principal goal was preserving psychoanalysis,
He holds it like a fag too.
fascist Europe, distanced himself further from Reich by abruptly canceling the publication of character analysis.
Good. At least that's one positive on his crazy ass side.
Reich is clearly frustrated because it's not a political book, even though he was well known as a communist psychoanalyst. Was not in any way a political
He didn't psychoanalyze communists. He was just a communist that was a psychoanalyst.
book. It was a book on psychoanalytic technique.
Freud also forbid Reich from lecturing to any
That's right,
communist or
Karen.
socialist groups. And on a personal note, Reich's marriage to Annie was effectively over. So when Todd
Because no one wanted to kill her, so she got to stay.
Philipson, a Danish physician, invited him to Denmark to train him and other physicians in character analysis, Reich traveled to Copenhagen. Annie and their daughters remained in Vienna.
I feel bad for the kids, but
Within months of his
their
arrival
dad was a piece of shit.
in Copenhagen, Reich self-published Character Analysis, which Freud had canceled, and The Mass Psychology of Fascism, two of his most famous books.
It's a milestone in the history of the research of the authoritarian personality. Fascism
you.
is so successful, he said, because it seizes, manipulates, and takes advantage of the average character structure of the oppressed masses.
Those are presented as a good thing. Did they just make it look like two people? But I don't know. Whatever. Sperm in a Tron maze. I know it looks. I know the center figure here, but it looks like they bastardized it just a little. Don't you think?
Longing for a strong leader, they're longing for salvation.
Right, that's what they're doing. They came in without any issues or problems. You've convinced them that they're out of whack and they need something, and then you provide the solution to them. Oh boy.
That's the whole theory of the authoritarian personality that Reich laid out. It's also interesting to note, this book includes very early criticism of Stalinism. Reich says these techniques succeed solely because this character already exists. National Socialists didn't create it. They expose and skillfully exploit it.
National Socialism. It's about time somebody said it the right way.
Reich war weltweit.
Reich was the only psychoanalyst in the world, at least until 1940, to offer a factual and critical repudiation of National Socialism and fascism, many times, not only through his Mass Psychology of Fascism, but through a variety of other books and articles he wrote in Scandinavia.
Let me explain to you why it's bad to be anti-Bolshevik. You should just let people steamroll over your society and your heritage, erase it, erode it, pervert it, and eliminate you from the map because they're the cult of supremacy. And you're not being perverted enough for them. That's why he doesn't like National Socialism. Nobility? That's just a posture. Fuck all you damn fascists and nationalists, National Socialists. Having an identity that binds you to your homeland, your fatherland, that's just trash because we're a people without a nation. So obviously that's not important. Okay.
In Denmark, Reich also worked out the theoretical framework for a series of laboratory experiments using human subjects in an attempt to measure.
Hold on, let's just read this together. The orgasm as electrophysiological discharge. They're always looking at the material rather than the spiritual and everything, because they don't have one. They don't have a vital force soul like other human beings do. So it's always reducing it to something that's materialism at its finest, right? So there's a spark of life. They can show that. They call it the zinc spark sometimes. And then they're talking about the electrophysiological discharge. Well, obviously there's an energy. That's a spiritual thing. That's something that's coming from your vital force itself. It's a connectivity thing, things that they don't have any understanding of, because I don't think they're able to connect with anything. I think they're constantly looking to feel something, but they're numb because they're not built right.
The emotions of sexuality.
One of the central issues that absorbed him was trying to answer the question that Freud had posed but never been able to answer himself. What is the nature of libido as a real physical something? And how, in a laboratory, can we measure it, demonstrate what its nature is, and quantify it?
I had to hold on to the libido theory. It's a natural scientific principle of energy, quantity, and objective functioning. And
You hear how he sounds like it's not what is his name? It's not Bertrand Russell, it's the other guy. It's that weird playwright who said, I don't want to kill anybody, but there's a lot of people I wish to die, or some way of, I forgot how he said it.
led on into the physiological realm.
Reich imagines that at least one thing that's going on in sex is a friction phenomenon between biological membranes. And might that mean that an electrical phenomenon is an important part of the process? Eventually, he ends up with what he sometimes refers to as the orgasm formula. Mechanical tension, followed by bioelectrical charge, followed by bioelectrical discharge, followed by the mechanical relaxation of the organs. That's the orgasm formula. Now, could I prove that in a laboratory? People had previously done bioelectrical measurements on the skin surface, but no work had been done on specifically measuring the electrical charge at the surface of the erogenous zones.
Significantly, Reich was now calling the libido life energy, a concept that would become central to his research over the next few years.
In the summer of 1934, when he is in exile from the Nazis, one of his patients comes to be Harald Sheldrup, the head of the Psychological Institute at Oslo University in Norway. And he offers Reich
No, I'm
the
not thinking of that
opportunity to
asshole.
carry out the kind of experiments that he's envisioning in a physiology lab at Oslo University.
That same summer, Reich was also preparing a paper to deliver at the upcoming International Psychoanalytic Congress in Lucerne, Switzerland.
The psychoanalytic conference at Lucerne in 1934 was the 13th international conference.
And it's a very complicated topic within the history of psychoanalysis.
And it was probably the most conflict-ridden and most difficult conference of them all.
Everything was falling somehow already apart in Europe with the Nazi regime in Germany.
Freud was still hoping for some kind of deal with the
George Bernard Shaw. Yeah, Reich sounds exactly like George Bernard Shaw in the recordings.
Reich, so that psychoanalysis would at least go on existing in Germany.
And as a Jew and a communist, Reich was clearly a liability.
The two leaders of the International Psychoanalytic Association, the president Ernest Jones and secretary Anna Freud, clearly agreed Reich has to go.
So George Bernard Shaw, eugenicist, said, you must all know half a dozen people at least who are no use in this world, who are no more trouble than they are worth, who are more trouble than they are worth. Just put them on one side and say, now, Monsieur or Madam, you will be kind enough to justify your existence. If you can't justify your existence, if you're not pulling your weight, then clearly we cannot use the organizations of our society for the purpose of keeping you alive. He said other things too. He said he was people that die. He proposed an extermination board. Don't tell me that's not eugenesis in mind. But this is part of that cult. And I agree to an extent, but they're also the ones who generate this in great numbers in societies in the first place by the way that they treat and poison people. This is why it's highly controversial lectures and essays regarding eugenics and the Fabian socialist movement, George Bernard Shaw. And I want to see if I can find the actual quote. That was part of it, but that wasn't the whole thing. I referenced. Okay, hold on. Searching. It's going. I love how it shows you where it's going. Oh, let's go to the Reddit. Yeah. Thanks. You go into Reddit for freaking information, and of course, AI is retarded. It says I don't want to punish anybody, but there are an extraordinary number of people who I want to kill, not at all from ill will. Oh, that makes it better then, but because they interfere with the world's work or are clearly a detriment to it. Says someone who obviously thinks that they're above all that. Otherwise, they wouldn't state that because they wouldn't want people going and hunting them down. But this is coming from the mind of the cult. This is coming from the mind of the exterminating cult. That the only way they can be superior to others is if they eliminate all the people who are superior to them. And then by default, they'll be right.
Reich invited the children to come to Denmark for the summer, where he was living under an assumed name. My mother thought Elsa was beautiful, and Elsa was a dancer. Eva loved her and found her very kind, and that Reich and Elsa got along very well together.
What are you going to do in front of your children? I mean, come on. She seems like she obviously can't be too happy about it.
Mother has had a wonderful memory of that summer, of just frolicking, playing on the beach and music.
They're romanticizing a very fucked up, strange situation here. Where the guy that your husband is having, or the girl that your husband is having sex with is hanging out with you and your children.
And wonderful food. Denmark was a joyous time for Eva and for Lori. There were wonderful memories of the camping and feeling...
Who's this chick? This is Auntie, I guess. Let's just call her that for now, kids, because I don't want to have to try to explain this nonsense to you.
So happy to be with their father, who seemed very happy. But once they got to Lucerne, then everything kind of blew up.
So, Lucerne 34. Reich arrives from his Scandinavian exile. It's a very interesting and very complex story.
On the first day, Karl Müller Braunschweig of the Berlin Society informs Reich that he's expelled from the Berlin Society.
He was completely shocked. Up until this point, he didn't know anything about this. And based on the existing bylaws, this meant he was no longer a member of the International Association. The one possibility of getting readmitted was if the Norwegians, who were awaiting accreditation, allowed him
He was going to poison the Norwegians next. There must have been a bunch of Oives there too.
Join their group, which they wanted to do. But Jones went to them and said, listen, you'll get your accreditation, but not if you accept Reich.
In his 3-volume biography of Sigmund Freud, Ernest Jones says that the 1934 Lucerne Conference was when Wilhelm Reich resigned from the psychoanalytic association.
All right, let's move it up a little
which
bit.
is,
Let's find out about his stuff when he gets here.
Said they saw exactly what Reich described, including unmistakable pulsatory movement at higher magnifications.
Still, many scientists continued to doubt that bions were genuine living microorganisms. In the laboratory, however, Reich's focus on the similarities of bions and cancer cells only deepened.
So he began to think not just in terms of possibly being able to explain the cancer process, but also possibly of being able to come up with a therapeutic method that used bions as some kind of a cancer therapy.
Because certain bions that were packet-shaped could kill bacteria and cancer cells, Reich wanted to test their possible effects on cancer in mice. He called these microorganisms PA bions.
He found that these PA bions, if he injected them into cancer mice, had the greatest effect on sick animals, prolonging their lifespan and causing the tumors, to some extent, to be disintegrated.
In the fall of 1937, and again in the spring of 1938, Reich became the subject of two vicious newspaper campaigns in which dozens of articles appeared denouncing his scientific and therapeutic work.
All sorts of claims came up.
So weird.
Whether he was a scientist or not, whether he was mad or not, what he was up to.
Now you're fucking with our chemotherapy and radiation. How dare you?
Whether he was a sexual swindler, filthy Jew with sexual ideas.
Well, he was a filthy Jew. They were right about that.
Running a brothel.
The Oslo press campaign attracted so much attention to the French scientists who had been involved in early attempts to replicate Reich's bion experiments that they didn't want their name associated with replicating these experiments.
Yeah, you know, forget the fact that there might be something to this thing, regardless of the actual person and his makeup. Maybe there's something here that can actually be useful to people. No, throw that out. Throw that out. We don't throw the whole thing out. Wow.
The mainstream narrative that has circulated about Reich is that when he wandered over into laboratory physiology and then into microbiology, he was way out of his depth, and that at best you should consider his science naive and mistaken, and maybe at worst, outright pseudoscience.
Yeah, but here's the problem with that. If you're indoctrinated into a belief system based on the people who came before you, that you're only looking for the things that you're expecting to see, and then you have a fresh eye. I don't think you need to be super trained in something to where the panorama is already closed down to all you're seeing is this. Because then you're just going to produce the same regurgitation over and over and over again. You're not going to have any innovative ideas. You're not going to see beyond what your predecessors have because you've been trained to look in a myopic way. And that's one of the ways they maintain their status quo. So if you have somebody in there who's taking a completely different approach, those other people would never even consider that. They would say, no, in the confines of this, we have to work with this, and this is how it gets done. Well, maybe that's not true at all. Maybe you don't even need to consider that stuff. Maybe you need to look at it a different way completely. Well, the people who are, you know, formally trained in something, they're not going to do that. They're going to continue to paint within the lines. So somebody who comes from another field and looks at something without those limitations already in place, there is a potential, regardless of the type of person he is or not, that they would actually be able to see something that others wouldn't. And then when they do see it, recognize it as being something rather than discard it immediately because it hasn't. It's not the way it's supposed to work. It's not the way it's supposed to happen. You know what I mean? Like, they're not even going to consider that because that's completely outside the framework and realm of what they're attempting or explaining or believing the mechanism actually functions. So this is not going to be useful. It's pseudoscience. Well, how many times have we heard that about legitimate things? Like taking nutrients in for God's sake, or homeopathy, which I know and have lived through the experience of seeing it work, and it works very well when you find the right key for that lock. Symptoms. Set of symptoms.
if what's happening in the laboratory notebooks corresponds to what happens in the published account, that's pretty good evidence that he wasn't imagining what he saw. I think that once and for all, we can stop talking about whether this is pseudoscience.
The devastating effects of the
She's funny. Bions, too? They get bions. They just can't help themselves, can they?
Norwegian press campaigns, coupled with the worsening political situation throughout Europe, convinced him that once
The worsening conditions are the potentiality for something really good to liberate and free all of Europe was squashed by the same types of scumbags and all the other people of all the other countries that they had controlled through their banking cult, utilized against a shining light in the darkness known as Germany.
again he needed to move, this time to America.
At the time he was actively planning his emigration to the United States, perhaps the most interesting and in some ways the strangest of all the Bion experiments unfolded.
In January 1939,
Now we're getting somewhere.
a laboratory assistant mistakenly heated up a container of sea sand while demonstrating what should have been a routine Bion experiment.
And interestingly enough, when the culture was observed under the microscope, it had some very striking novel features compared to any previous kind of Bion culture he had seen. He called them SAPA Bions, sand packet, abbreviated into an acronym. When he put them on a slide next to cancer cells, they paralyzed the cancer cells almost instantaneously.
He also observed other effects of the
The cell doesn't stop the creation, mutation, growth, the production of said cancer cells. You can shoot them all day long, but if you don't get the respawner that they're coming out of, you're just going to be standing there all day going pew 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 pew. You know video games, right? So yes, on the surface, you're eliminating the things that's already out there, but are you taking care of what the abnormality or the disharmony in the body is, the lack of whatever, or the production or the inability to remove toxins that's actually causing these problems?
these Bions, such as magnetizing metal instruments, inflammation of his eyes, and fogging photographic plates, leading him to believe that these Bions were emitting some kind of radiation. In his diary, Reich wrote excitedly, "SAPA Bions, radiation, a completely new world." The question now was, what kind of radiation was this?
Jesus Christ.
In trying to understand whether it was or wasn't related to electromagnetic fields of radiation.
Things that you guys don't even know
One of the most
about.
important tools that Reich employed was a Faraday cage, essentially just a large enclosure lined with metal. The only way you could isolate the area that you were
Fencing.
studying from electromagnetic fields going on all around you was to enclose it in a metal enclosure. Reich had a room-sized Faraday cage in his basement, and he found that if you had many cultures contained within the cage for many days or weeks, a lot of the effects were much more pronounced and easy to measure.
By March 1939, Reich believed that this radiation was not electromagnetic, that it was, in fact, a new form of energy, which was the life energy of all living substances. He named it orgone energy.
He says, partly because its discovery was initiated by his investigation of the function of the orgasm, and partly because...
So you're insulating what your own bodily energetic force, vital force, is emanating, and you're basically hotboxing yourself. Is that what we're talking about here? You're an insulated box. Other ionizing things can't hit you because you're in a Faraday cage.
Its most noticeable and different property was it was capable of charging organic substances.
During this time, Reich was also trying to secure a teaching visa that would make possible his emigration to America. His friend, renowned anthropologist Bronislaw Malinowski, a professor at Smith College in America,
Malinowski.
helped him obtain a position at the New School for Social Research in New York. Now,
$2,000 a year. This dude's gonna be rich by those standards, those years.
Years old, Wilhelm Reich was about to leave for his 6th country in 9 years. By now, he and Elsa were living
He should just throw a turban on his head and call himself a nomad.
separately. She had decided not to accompany him to America.
Was that his wife or his girlfriend?
Leaves Norway on the boat the Stavanger Fjord, which arrives in America 4 days before the outbreak of the World War.
My dear Elsa, there was a lump in my throat when I thought of everything that I was leaving behind, especially you. Elsa, I loved you very, very much indeed. Farewell.
Peace. But about no mention of his 2 daughters, right?
The man who stepped off the ship in New York was, in many ways, a profoundly different man than he'd been in Europe.
And a jackass.
I think when
a shitty father
left Norway, he felt quite gutted, increasingly embittered, and you can see that he is a changed man.
Notice how nothing about family is appealing to these people. That doesn't give them that sense of purpose that it should. Is it because I'm like an ultra dad, or is it because these people suck?
When he comes to the United States.
In America, Reich would never be the public, political, or psychoanalytic figure that he'd been in Europe. He would never be politically active in the United States, nor would he have any contact with the American psychiatric or psychoanalytic associations, where rumors and slanders about him had already taken root, principally from 2 European psychoanalysts.
American Psycho. Analyst. American Psycho. You can drop the last word. Analysts. They even hyphenated it.
Emigrated to America before him. Shandor Rado and Otto Fenichel.
Oh my god, look at the face on that motherfucker. Does he not look like he almost looks like an Elon clone. God damn it. Did I lose it? It doesn't matter.
Drudgery of analysis. Vegetotherapy.
Quite amazing, really, that
what did I
managed
just
to
lose?
build up another institute in America and to gather a new.
How did I go forward when I went to try to go backwards?
Of, medical men around him.
This thing sucks.
In America, however, Reich's body-oriented vegetotherapy was never his primary focus, as he made clear in a letter to a colleague. I'm looking forward to expanding my research work, but fear the drudgery of analysis.
Analytiker.
Within weeks of his arrival, Reich resumed his cancer research, re-establishing his laboratory in a house he rented in the Forest Hills section of New York City. By December, he achieved a
By December, he was already torturing mice.
significant breakthrough during his first orgone radiation experiments on cancer mice. On December 16th,
That mouse looks like he has testicles stuck to his neck. So there's some pretty big lymph nodes.
he injected sapobions into a mouse with a breast tumor the size of
breast.
a large bean. Over the next few days, he recorded that the tumor was now shrinking. 6 days after the SAPA injection, he wrote that the bions had reduced the mouse's cancer by half. Over the next few months, Reich injected sapobions into over 100 cancer mice with tumors. In some
Where
cases,
were all these cancer mice? Where were all these mice getting cancer from? Was it induced? Laboratory induced? Or are they just finding all these cancerous mice everywhere? Whatever the hell they're eating, don't eat it.
the tumors receded and disappeared completely. In others, they receded but then grew larger. Overall, the cancer mice injected
They
with
receded and then grew larger, he said. They said. She said. Because you are just attacking what is being produced without figuring out what the source is and what the cause of it is. And handling it there.
Sapobions lived longer than the untreated mice. However, all the mice ultimately died. This was depressing, Reich later wrote, yet the fact had been established that the orgone has an effect on cancer tumors. In contrast to this promising research, lies and innuendos about Reich had made their way to the State Department and the FBI.
Notice what they just said there. They're not taking a side at all, are they? Lies about Reich.
3.5 months after
Those
his
mean people.
in America, and 9 days before his first cancer mice experiment, a consul in the State Department sent a memo to the Secretary of State with information from confidential sources believed reliable concerning the communistic activity.
Well, these are absolutely true statements. But they would have, you would think they would have embraced him. Like, hey, we have a thing called the OSS here now. I mean, just, you know, the communism is already in America. Don't worry. Everything's fine. We'll take care of you.
Of Wilhelm Reich. These
I
confidential
mean, we already had a Louis Brandeis. After that, shit. What the hell else do you need? You guys come right in.
sources claimed that Reich had been a paid communist agent in Austria, which was incorrect. Also incorrect
Are we doing semantics now?
their claim that Reich had been expelled from Austria. A month later, the State Department sent this information to FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover, who forwarded it to a special agent in New York. 8 weeks later, this agent reported back to Hoover that a confidential informant had disclosed that Reich was on the medical advisory board of the Communist Party of America, which was also incorrect. Reich was never involved with any political party or movement in America.
But you're still communist.
This would be the first of several FBI investigations. Reich was now teaching at the new school.
What happens when that school gets some age to it and other schools are built after it? Is it still the new school?
For social research in Manhattan.
Sounds like the Fabian Society.
And living with 30-year-old Ilse Ohlendorf, like him, a European emigre, who became one of his laboratory assistants in his
She was a lab rat too, with a nose to match.
bionic cancer research. As in Oslo, this research included efforts to isolate and study the visual effects of orgone energy from sapobions by using large and small Faraday cages.
His experiments about the properties of the radiation had led...
Does it bother anybody that they accidentally heated up some sand and then they're like, oh, this is sapobions? It's like, okay, so is that where you stopped your research? You're only going to pay attention to this thing that you did by accident? Or are these bions and other things too? And are some of them more effective than others from other substances? Or are you just going to laser focus on the one thing that you kind of fell onto? And you're making these observations as if it's somehow relevant.
him to see that not only was it absorbed very effectively by insulating materials, but metals quickly reflected it. So they didn't hold on to it. And he thought, this is really interesting. Perhaps if I surround a Faraday cage with
a bunch of shit,
insulating material, fiberglass, cardboard, wood, maybe that will help keep the phenomenon enclosed within it so that I can see it better. And when he tried that, it did happen that way. He also got the idea that perhaps if I design a small one of these with a magnifying lens, it'll be dark in there. And when he did that, he found that indeed it was easier to study the cultures in a small metal enclosure than before. However, when he took the cultures out of the metal enclosures, he was rather startled to discover that many of the kinds of visual impressions were still present, and he was really rather puzzled by this.
Even when he dismantled, ventilated, and reassembled
they had a image burnt into it like an old picture tube.
the boxes, he still observed the radiation phenomenon inside. Where did it come from, he wondered.
Cotton Eye Joe.
He'd find his answer to this a few weeks later during a vacation that he and Ilse Ollendorf took to New England.
He moved on pretty quickly, huh? This is his third chick now that we know of.
Found Rangeley just by accident. He had first rented a cottage over on the bigger lake, Mooslik Maguntic.
Wilhelm Reich Infant Trust? Is that her title? Is that what they just said?
Indian name.
It was in the skies over this lake one night where Reich made what he considered his greatest discovery. Looking through a tube with a magnifying lens, Reich saw the same flickering and flashing in the night sky that he'd seen in the boxes. From this, he concluded that this radiation existed in the atmosphere and was therefore everywhere.
Static charge. Ethereal energy.
This discovery meant that these boxes were actually attracting and holding in atmospheric orgone energy.
This Faraday cage was what he now understood to be, as he called it, an orgone energy accumulator. Eventually, he created accumulators of a size that mice could be put into, and tried this as a means of delivering the radiation directly to mice with a tumor, and found that the effects on prolonging the lifespan of cancer mice were greater than any of the bion injection experiments.
Reich also observed that electroscopes, which measure electrical charge, discharge more slowly inside orgone accumulators than they do in open air. Consequently, they
So, rather than let your energy that's emanating from yourself, and you're seeing this from the atmosphere, okay, we'll pretend that that's the thing, that is it, or it's part of it. When you are boxed in with your, let's just say, your own energy field, that you see healing properties because no other things are interfering with it. And this sounds more like energetic properties and principles that Dr. Monzo discuss about the energy pathways. Like the feedback of you being immersed in your own without any other types of, other input helps to readjust and put the body back in order energetically. Just throw that maybe, right?
valuable tools for measuring the higher concentrations
Just
of
go sit in this box for a while.
orgone energy within the accumulators. Further evidence of a tangible energy within the enclosures was the fact that temperatures above the accumulators were frequently higher than in the surrounding air. As Reich continued to quantitatively measure orgone energy in the accumulators, he also ordered the construction of the first human-sized accumulator, approximately 5 feet high, 2.5 feet wide, and 3 feet deep, which he and co-workers sat in regularly to observe any effects.
All of his co-workers were supposed to sit in the orgone box in case there should be a bad result. We should know about it first, which is very decent of him, I thought.
It wasn't
Yeah, as long as you guys are the experimental group, right? I thought it was very decent of him.
more than a few months before the orgone energy experiments had taken on such large significance in his work that he reached out for the first time to Albert Einstein to get a physicist's professional opinion on what this all meant.
Why him of all people? He's like, William, I'm a fraud. I was a patent clerk. I stole other people's ideas. And I hate the National Socialists so much that they let me pretend that I'm this thing. Dude, ask somebody else.
Einstein responded with great interest, and in early
Right. Yeah,
January
that's how they do it. I want to know what's up with I want to know what this person's up to so that I can report what I find from what he tells me willfully. It's a lot easier to get information out of somebody who's willfully giving it to you than to heighten their suspicions that you have some ill will. Like the police do. They don't. It's like, hi, I want to talk to my lawyer. Just when they say hi, I want to talk to my lawyer.
Reich was enthused to find himself invited to come to Princeton and demonstrate to Einstein some of the phenomena that he had found.
Reich and Einstein met twice in early 1941. At Einstein's request, Reich left him a small accumulator so that he could study some of the manifestations of orgone radiation.
Or pass it on to people who would discredit him. Yeah.
Including the temperature difference above the box and in the surrounding air. 8 days later, Reich received a letter from Einstein with a far different explanation for the temperature difference than the existence of an energy within the enclosure. A conclusion which Reich subsequently refuted in a series of controlled experiments. He sent these findings to Einstein in a 26-page letter. Much to his disappointment, Einstein never responded.
He's like, fuck you, Einstein. How did you not notice that this is the way it is? And Einstein's like, this guy's going to be a problem. He's going to fuck up
But by then,
he's going to fuck up our grift.
Reich was already taking a major step forward. The orgone energy treatment of humans with cancer.
The results with mice were so promising in the first months of the experiments in late 1940 that by the spring of 1941...
Everybody's solving the wrong problem still, though. Unless somehow this is addressed. It's not, though, because at the core of everything, it's your nutrients. And nobody's even considering that might be what throwing things off in the first place for you to have the cancer.
Reich was ready to try
But the toxins, lack of nutrients, the stressors of life, but the nutrients being the thing that is required to maintain your resistance to the stresses of life.
Person-sized accumulator to deliver the radiation to volunteer cancer patients who had been declared terminal by their physicians. Reich had them sign an affidavit that said, "No cure has been promised. I've paid no money. I understand that this is entirely experimental work." But from very early in the experiments, it became clear that the cancer patients being treated with the orgone energy accumulator showed a really marked improvement in their condition.
After 2 months of orgone radiation experiments with cancer patients, Reich wrote a 3-page letter to Einstein about
Stop
his
talking to
preliminary
Einstein.
results. He also wrote to Alvin Johnson, president of the New School for Social Research, where Reich was finishing
The
up
sex
his
guy was talking to Dr. Johnson.
semester of teaching. Einstein never responded.
Because he was
But
fucking
Johnson
piece
did,
of shit.
politely terminating Reich's teaching contract. That summer, Johnson would express his true motivations and feelings about Reich in an interview with the FBI.
Ha! See? Everybody's a
At the end of
cocksucker.
June, Reich left New York for his second summer in Rangeley, Maine, leaving his 7 terminal cancer patients in the care of 2 physicians who were studying with him. From a lakeside cabin that he had purchased the previous year.
Yeah, I'm absolutely. It was promising, but they said no. Best of luck to you, cancer people. I'm out of here.
He wrote to these patients, "I did not leave the city and you without any good reason, and not merely for pleasure purposes. I have learned so much from what you have experienced that I dare hope to be able to apply your contributions to scientific research upon other sick human beings." This research included 47 consecutive days of regular measurements of electroscopic discharge rates inside and outside of small orgone accumulators. These experiments, which Reich would repeat
So what he's basically said is, I didn't leave you for no good reason, but these matters are bigger than your life. Later.
for years, revealed that concentrations of atmospheric orgone energy varied according to specific weather conditions and times of day. Reich reported these findings to his doctors in New York to help determine the best times for patients to use orgone accumulators.
After they poop.
After returning to New York, Reich also reported these findings in yet another letter to Einstein.
Stop it!
His third since
Stop
February.
it!
Einstein did not reply.
for people
He just
who
sucked on his pipe.
picture Reich as some kind of a loner who crossed boundaries into disciplines in which he wasn't trained.
See what I mean about that whole thing? Like that dogma. We're the experts here. Whatever you have to say, no matter how much you can show it. I'm not saying this is in relation to Reich, but anybody. We take a different approach. We see things in a different way. We do a different thing, but we find results in the thing that you were studying. Oh, that's complete trash and bullshit because you didn't do it the way we say it should work or should come to be. Well, where are all of your successes in the thing, and what are your advancements? We're not concerned with those things.
It took more time to understand how often Reich had reached out to professionals in other disciplines, asking for help, for advice, for collaboration. As with the Einstein exchange, it's not surprising in some ways that eventually he reached out less and less.
But Reich's deep disappointment with Einstein's silence
See, he even tried to start growing his hair out like Einstein, make it all crazy and weird.
was soon to be eclipsed by a far deeper threat to his life and work.
Right, the feds. Oh, he's attacking our cancer money now? You better get rid of this asshole.
Earlier that year, while Reich was immersed in his research, another FBI investigation had begun, once again instigated by false allegations to the State Department. By May 1941, J. Edgar Hoover's assistant had concluded that Reich is potentially a dangerous threat to internal security and asked whether we have prepared a custodial detention card on him. And in July 1941, when Reich was in Maine carrying out his promising orgone energy research, his name was added to the Justice Department's custodial detention list, meaning that should America go to war, he and over 100,000 others on the list would be taken into custody.
Oh, yeah. 1941. December.
On December 12th, at 2:30 in the morning, 2 FBI agents arrived at Reich's home and took him into custody. Along with thousands of other suspected enemy aliens, he was taken to Ellis Island.
Well, he was an alien, because he was an OIV.
It served as a detention facility during World War II. His detention there lasted 25 days, during which time the FBI searched his house, confiscated his books, papers, and letters.
He had Mein Kampf? I guess to go like to shake his angry fist at it or something. Let's see. Adolf. Leo Trotsky, Mein Leben, Revolution Betrayed, Mussolini. So you got all kinds of stuff going on in here. Let's see.
And interviewed people who knew or had contact with him. In fact, throughout the year, the FBI had been interviewing people about Reich, including Alvin Johnson, who told them why
He's like, he might be a communist. But like, aren't we siding with the Bolshevik? What those guys? What are Stalin? What are you talking about? Oh yeah, but these guys are communists. Yeah, but isn't America like fighting a war to expand their influence and destroy National Socialism at the same time? Or just kicked off to do that?
terminated Reich.
That smacked of quack tactics.
In his early
Quack tactics meaning that's not even coming from another doctor. That's coming from somebody who's saying that this isn't how it's done. This isn't how you approach these things. Now, sometimes that might be valid depending on what they're talking about, but in other cases, no, it will always be that way. Oh, you have to find the right type of mustard gas and the right type of deadly radiation and the right type of animal venom synthesis that you can use on cancer patients that makes them magic. It's like the approach is completely wrong. But if you're not working within the realm of those types of therapies and methods, it's all wrong.
Letter to Johnson, Reich never claimed he could cure cancer, and he had published nothing yet in America about any of his work. The day after Christmas, his 15th day of detention, Reich appeared before a 4-member alien enemy board to answer questions. After the hearing, on the same day, the board recommended that Reich be released. 10 days later, he was finally freed from Ellis Island. That night at home, he wrote of his 25-day detention.
In a chicken scratch that nobody can friggin' read.
I looked up every day from behind the bars to the Statue of Liberty.
That's okay. That's day up every. This is what? How did you get day out of that?
Her light shone brightly into a dark night.
I think you're just making shit up right now.
Although 1942 began on a bleak note, Reich transformed it into one of his most prolific years, starting with the publication of his first American research journal, in which the word orgone appeared in print for the first time. This was quickly followed by his new book,
Function of the Orgasm. Yeah, way to totally redeem yourself. I'm sorry. No, I was being facetious. You should just went with the orgone energy, not also trying to attach this shit to it. It make you sound even more like a weirdo. Might have legitimate working here, but then you threw this in there, and you didn't have the common sense to see the difference, because to you there are no rights and wrongs, because you're an oive. That's why they can't write a book with a discernibly good character in the Old Testament of theirs. They're all pieces of shit because they don't know the difference. They don't have a meter for this is distasteful and wrong behavior in human beings, and this isn't. Nope.
biography, which, to the understandable confusion of some, used the same title as his 1927 book. Reich was now publishing under his new private press, whose impressive output for the next 14 years would include 7 new books and revised enlarged editions of—
Doesn't it sound like it reads like the Magnus Hirschfeld collection, like The Mass Psychology of Fascism? Well, not that one, but Reich, the Cancer Biopathy, the Sexual Revolution one was the one that stuck in my mind. Listen, little man. Who are they talking to, you think? Think they're talking to Adolf? Think that's a slander? Or do you think that's like he's teaching how to have a better orgasm, and that little man's going to be a big man now? Like that. Wilhelm Reich, Cosmic Super... what does that say? Superimposition. The function of the orgasm. We'll see what happens is... Yeah, thanks. We totally needed a thick book like that about it. Just kidding. Wilhelm Reich, The Murder of Christ. Oh, would you be complete without something like that? Man, he was just throwing everything out there, wasn't he? People in trouble. Yeah. Wilhelm Reich, Ether, God, and Devil. He should have just stuck to experiments, kept his shut and his pen down.
Of 3 earlier titles from Europe. These publications featured what had become his guiding precept and the symbol of his thought technique of seeking a common functioning principle in what appear to be opposing forces.
Yeah, there's the dick and there's the, okay, I got you, yeah. And it's just arrows going all sorts of ways. Dicks trying to smack each other, like sword fighting. Yeah, I got you. Totally gay.
1942 also marked Reich's 3rd summer in Rangeley, Maine, which led
What is it with them and the freaking accordion too?
to several important turning points.
Because it's obnoxious, irritating, and nobody with the right mind would ever find that to be appealing to the ear. So they just do it to fuck up, to piss off the goy. Right? Is that why?
His work. Herman Templeton, a fishing guide and carpenter who had built the cabin that Reich owned, had been diagnosed with cancer the previous year.
And he said,
At
success!
Reich's suggestion,
I finally have somebody who I can experiment on. And they already trust me.
He built himself an accumulator and used it at home, with encouraging results similar to those of Reich's cancer patients in New York. From this, Reich decided that allowing people to rent and use accumulators at home could be valuable for them and for his research.
You want to sit in this thing that looks like a porta potty without a shitter? It's going to cost you. What is that? Oh, it's insulation. It's insulation. Yeah, and some foily thingy that we're calling a Faraday cage. Okay, so it's insulation with a... So, like, kind of a house with some foil in it? Like what I already sit in? No, this is different, smaller. And did I mention it's not a toilet? Yeah, you said that once already. Well, you need to sit down. Okay. What am I doing in here again? Just wait. We've got insulation. Yeah, so does lots of other things. We have insulation, though. And we have a Faraday cage. But then there's insulation. You should... Can I just make this myself with some... Rent it.
Orgone research requires very large amounts of money, he wrote. The small amounts that would come in from the orgone accumulators should, in time, not only cover the cost of their manufacture, but, if possible, the whole research.
The cost of their manufacture, I mean, granted, I'm sure there wasn't a Home Depot and a Lowe's back then, but fucking Christ, man. They have that hard foam insulation in the sheets that you can cut. And you just smack it again, and you cut the door size of it, and you smack a piece of metal into the interior part of it. That didn't even look like it had some sort of gasket seal in order to keep the stuff out. You just have two little gay, looks like cabinet hinges that they're using as door hinges. Looks like it's really put together nicely. So you can probably see light through it when you shut the door. Like, is there even a hinge on this? Or you just gotta hold it. Hold it tight. How long have I been here for? 36 hours. Oh, motherfucker. Are you sure it wasn't a good idea not to put a toilet in here? Play.
Starting that fall in his workshop at home, Herman Templeton and his 34-year-old daughter, Clista, began building.
She's about to get essayed by Wilhelm Reich. Okay, I bet you, inside a tiny little box. And then he's going to discover, wow, it even made that feel better. This thing's great. How do you feel? Violated? Perfect.
Building and shipping orgone
It was like, I want to call the authorities. Shh. Go back in the box.
Accumulators for Reich. Shortly before returning to New York, Reich reflected on the Rangeley region in his diary. I want to live in this country, to have my lab on a farm if possible, to return to my childhood farm days. 3 days later, he visited an abandoned farm on a small lake, just a few miles from his cabin.
And he managed to buy it for very little. I think it was $4,000, which he had to borrow. He wanted to be able to do his work here. The atmosphere was very conducive to doing work with orgone energy.
Reich called this property Organon. The war was also very much on Reich's mind. Back in New York, he devoted considerable time and effort to bring his medical orgone research to the attention of the National Research Council, which was soliciting civilian proposals to meet the challenges of wartime medicine. In December, the chairman of the council's Committee on Medicine turned down Reich's proposal. Over the next 2 years, Reich put together a plan to create a laboratory and research center on the farmland in Maine. In the spring of 1945, a student laboratory was built. Here, for the next several summers, in the clear, dry conditions in Maine he found so conducive for orgone research, Reich and his students from New York carried out a wide range of laboratory work. This included experiments using more powerful orgone accumulators, with as many as 20 layers of alternating organic and metallic material. And At the age of 47, Reich had become a father again. The birth of his son Ernst Peter in 1944 would inspire him to expand his therapeutic and scientific work into studying the emotional lives of infants and children.
When my grandfather was older and had his second family with Ilse Ollendorf, he had Peter. At that time, I think he was realizing the importance of the connection between the mother and the child, and the bonding, and the father and the mother and the child.
Reich had also grown closer to his oldest daughter, Eva, who was now in medical school. Relations with both daughters had been difficult for over a decade because their mother, Annie, now a prominent New York psychoanalyst, had
New York too, just without him? Huh.
continually disparaged Reich and his work.
There was also an analyst who was seeing Reich's two children, his two daughters.
My mother, Eva, was placed in daily analysis with Berta Bornstein, who was a friend of Annie Reich. And from my mother's perspective, this analysis consisted of telling her or explaining to her why her father was crazy.
Wow.
And this went on for years.
In the summer of 1945, during her visit with her father in Maine, Eva finally told him about this. In his diary, Reich wrote, "Eva has opened her neurotic cupboard. Berta Bornstein told her that she would simply have to accept the fact that she has a sick father."
By modern standards of doing
That's child
best for
abuse.
a child, I mean, that is shocking.
And as Eva became more involved in Reich and his work, she became more estranged from her mother.
Unfortunately, she took a lot of her mother's physical features with her. No chin, big ass lip.
Funny.
Meanwhile, Reich was continually being denigrated in medical and psychoanalytic publications and by word of mouth. For example, Sergei Feidelberg, a colleague from Austria, now a physician at a New York hospital, announced at a party
He looks constipated.
Reich was running an illegal bordello.
You can't trust Jews, even if you are one. Like little piranhas they are. They just like to eat each other.
But it was this article in New Republic magazine in 1947 that would have the most far-reaching consequences. Mildred Brady was a freelance journalist with links to the
She looks wonderful.
Communist Party in America. This was the second critical article published in New Republic within 5 months. Many people, including Reich, believed it was part of a wider agenda of retaliation for his criticism of communism in the mass psychology of fascism. But an equally
He was criticizing communism finally?
motive may have been Brady's long-time involvement in the consumer movement and its efforts to fight consumer fraud. In her article, one of Brady's themes was the implied fraudulence of the orgone accumulator as a cancer treatment, and as a device which she wrongly stated was rented out to patients who presumably derive orgastic potency from it. Orgastic potency was the term Reich first coined in 1924 to describe a person's capacity to completely discharge biological sexual energy through orgasm. Now, 23 years later, Brady was falsely stating that Reich was renting out orgone accumulators to help patients achieve this.
Wrong.
This article, in a reputable political magazine,
Two separate things he should have kept separate.
began the false narrative, still alive today, of the orgone accumulator as a sex box and fraudulent cancer treatment.
See, there you go. There you go, Jack. So there is some validity to my original thought on this. It's the people making the conflation. You know, I'm not saying there was anything good about this guy. But the thing itself was not a sex box.
From which Reich was profiting. Several weeks later, this article came to the attention of Dr. James Durrett.
It's basically saying, well, that vital force, that life force in you that makes you want to, is a very powerful one. That's the thing that energizes everything else, blah, 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 Orgone. You know? Just poor naming of that.
Of the Medical Advisory Board of the Federal Trade Commission, who forwarded it on to an official at the Food and Drug Administration with this note. The reason I'm sending this to you is that he appears to be supplying his patients with a gadget which will capture the seemingly fantastic substance orgone. 5 weeks after that letter, Charles Wood, FDA inspector for the state of Maine, was instructed by the Boston District Office to visit Wilhelm Reich.
The FDA declined a request to be interviewed for this film because they are above the law. They're like the Federal Reserve.
Asked if the orgone accumulator could be classified as a device as defined in the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act, Reich acknowledged that it was an experimental device for treating diseases, including cancer, used under a doctor's supervision by patients who paid according to their means. And it was
how much you got. That's how much it is. You're in luck.
These contributions that helped support Reich's
That's you can't take the happy merchant out of them too far, right? It's like, well, how much you got? You sure that's all you got? Well, you're in luck today. That's how much it is to sit in the box. You want to sit in the box? The magic box. You want to sit in the magic box? I mean, like, you're at death's door right now. Anything, any potential that this has for helping you, I think you should take it, and I should take your money.
Search. He also provided Wood.
You know, because there could be two things happening at the same time. There could be actual potential positive outcomes to using this thing, and it could also be swindler's list. Ha.
Relevant literature, and arranged for him to visit Clysta Templeton, who, since her father's death 3 years earlier, had continued building and shipping accumulators for Reich.
It was so complicated to build that a female could do it. I had to.
But Clysta no longer wished to
It's
be
part of my
involved
contract that I don't have with anybody.
in this work, and volunteered significant information to Wood, including the names of numerous accumulator users, with more names to come.
Oh, that's not good.
Wood's report to the Boston office was forwarded to the FDA's Eastern Division in New York with this comment.
Keep your accumulators to
It appears
yourself.
that we have here a fraud of the first magnitude being perpetrated by a very able individual, fortified by men of science.
Because, I mean, obviously, if you're looking into a microscope, people think you know what you're doing. That's why I gotta go get a microscope. Yes, let's look at tubes. Let's do all that sciencey stuff that they do and be real. It's all it takes to, convince most people out there.
Additional investigations quickly got underway in New York, including a visit to the Orgone Institute Press, where its bookkeeper, Lois Wyvell, reported that FDA inspectors were intent on obtaining pornographic literature and the names of accumulator users. Reich protested the pornographic nature of the inspector's questions to prominent civil rights attorney Arthur Garfield Hayes, whose office subsequently worked with Reich to challenge FDA requests to procure accumulators for testing purposes, to secure the names of those ordering Reich's literature, and to obtain the names of all cancer
Man, they're putting other people on the list for just being curious and interested in doing their own analysis of what Reich was writing about. Now they're on a list. Now they're getting dragged into it.
From Reich's published
The
case.
long history of the people being freaking targeted simply for their interests in certain topics. Kind of like the internet.
Histories. Meanwhile, Inspector Wood made additional trips to Maine to investigate.
Inspector Wood. They got Wood. They got Wood of all people.
resulting in his marriage to Calista Templeton 3 months after they
Oh, Jesus Christ. Miss Templeton is... Oh, fuck.
first met. 9 months into the investigation, an internal FDA report summarized its status
That's
thus
not very
far,
good luck.
including interviews with accumulator users whose names had been provided by Calista Templeton.
Fucking bitch.
All persons were extremely satisfied with the results and were resentful of the government's interference.
Well, there you
with
go.
what they considered a personal matter.
Now take a step back, bitch. No, they
This
don't want to
did
do that, though.
nothing, however, to diminish the FDA's concerns.
Right, because if they said that it worked great... See, look, isn't that funny how it's when you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. If people said, yeah, this was a bag of bullshit, they'd be like, we have them. We have them on, being unscientific and running a grift. And we can get them for that. Oh, no, that was wonderful. It was the greatest thing ever. This is a threat to the FDA and their allopathic nonsense cult. Their cultist society that they've built around it. We got to get them. Now we really got to get them. It's like one way or the other, they're going to fuck them.
Despite the contention that the accumulator is not a cure-all, some of the statements made in Reich's publications could raise false hopes among sick people, particularly sufferers of cancer. This report also provides further proof of the FDA's persistent suspicion.
What about you when you tell people that, that don't worry about it, we got chemo and radiation for you. Oh, don't worry in the future. Don't worry, AIDS guy. We have this old cancer medicine that really fucking kills you. Like, how much of cancer is actually the cancer, and how much of cancer is the treatment when it comes to the suffering, the deterioration, and the death? Like 99.9% of it is that we've decided that you have this thing called cancer, and now we're gonna fucking kill you.
That they were dealing with pornography.
Post
office authorities might be interested in
the sexual revolution. Right. Things you should have also maybe it's like inclusive dealing with adult and infantile masturbation. The U.S. Post Office authorities might be interested in the distribution via mail of Reich's book, The Sexual Revolution, on the grounds of obscene literature. Pages 81 to 100 inclusive, and pages 235 to 245 inclusive, dealing with adult and infantile masturbation. Very frequently, a boy and a girl go with each other for a long period of time, etc. Boys masturbate habitually, alone, or mutually. Little boys whack off with each other. I don't think that's not my life experience. But he's a Jew. So, I mean, maybe that is quite... Why would they think there's something different about it if that's how they're brought up? Page 95. I have at hand, funny words, certain figures, which indicate with certainty that for every case of sex delinquency discovered, etc., blah, 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 it does not take more than casual observation to realize, etc., etc. Okay. Among agricultural youth, there is a common custom of the girl waiting in front of a dancing place, etc. Why is that a bad thing? And they don't say, like, little boy. They don't say little girl. It could just be figures of speech as to... I'm trying to help out here. I'm trying to do my best.
Distribution of the sexual revolution on the grounds of obscene literature. The FDA's investigation would continue on and off for nearly a decade.
One way the world usually takes to kill a pioneer is to segregate him, to put him away to loneliness, so that he can't live a normal life. That's one way of breaking it.
That's what they did.
I never permitted anyone to do that to me. They tried many times.
I don't think that my parents or Reich really could see the big picture of what was going to be happening. It became kind of like a war.
Reich was now experimenting with Geiger counters and discovered that when they were exposed to high concentrations of orgone energy for long periods of time, their needle pointers rotated at higher counts per minute than they did for radioactive materials. From this, Reich deduced that orgone energy might be converted into mechanical energy and used as a motor force.
I wish to make a record of a document at the Orgone Institute Research Laboratories, Wilhelm Reich, MD, at Orgonon. Accordingly, the reaction of the impulse counter soaked full with orgone radiation, being in a threefold cubic foot orgone accumulator, would amount to a motor force of about 20 to 30 times faster as that of atomic energy established until now.
A year later, Reich successfully powered a small Western electric motor using atmospheric orgone energy.
Well, can't be doing that. That's free energy.
And biological orgone
Again, Jew, stop stealing from Tesla.
From the body.
That's our Serbian buddy over there. Don't be messing with him.
Throughout this research, Reich reached out to the Atomic Energy Commission.
Probably shouldn't have done that either. Probably shouldn't have told them things. You're that water car guy before the water car guy was a water car guy. You got to stop.
Hoping for their interest and assistance, just as he had reached out to Einstein years earlier. The commission never took his research seriously.
Sure they did. They just didn't let him know about it.
In June 1948, construction began on Reich's next building at Orgonon, the Orgone Energy Observatory, which would include a second laboratory, observation decks, and his library and study.
I remember S.A. Collins and Sons building the building.
S.A. Collins, huh? Can't. I'm going to stop.
The first building that we built there was a laboratory. And then he decided to build his place up on the hill. And my brother built that. We got along very well with the doctor, but there was a lot of people that didn't.
They would call him a communist. They would call him a Nazi.
Or that he was a German spy.
Oh, now he's a Nazi, everybody. Now how the things have changed.
Saw he was bringing this
National Socialist, by the way, and you should be so lucky if that was the case, you fucking idiots.
sex orgy thing to the countryside.
Yes, bringing in the sex orgies to the countryside. Man, you were very easily propagandized, even without like actual like decent television or little things that you hold in your hand and walk around all day, so that you don't have to look at the world.
There were several other people who thought he was really a quack.
And then
you retards thought he was a quack. Okay, well maybe he was, but still, you guys are like pitchfork condemners without any like. If you don't understand what's going on, it must be evil. It must be from the devil. It's of the devil, this energy that comes out of your own body and gets hotboxed next to you that helps heal you. That's from the devil. Your body is from the devil. That's a sex box. You can't even poop in it. It's got no hole. What good is this thing?
He used to say that it was a nudist colony over there.
Shortly after the building's completion, Reich notified his co-workers.
See, that looks like a dick. I mean, I'm not gonna lie.
Students that the plan gains momentum that I stay here at Orgonon and do not return to New York.
That's a nice house.
My work during the past
He's making money somewhere.
years has shifted more and more toward biophysics and physics and away from individual psychiatry.
The majority of physicians who were in training with him felt pulled an uncomfortable direction by his interest in orgone energy.
Why?
I didn't feel equal to judging the validity of orgone energy.
In 1950, Reich and his family moved permanently to Orgonon.
Northern Korea. The president has stated that the use of the atomic
Is this girl number 3 he's with, though?
is being considered to halt the communist onrush inspired by Russia. His hope is that the employment of this devastating weapon will be unnecessary.
That same year, the threat of using an atomic bomb during the Korean War impelled Reich to explore the possible effects of orgone energy on nuclear radiation sickness.
I know he hoped that orgone could...
Let's get some mice. Let's nuke them. Let's put them in the microwave for a little while, and then we're gonna stick them in this box.
counteract atomic energy.
To test this, he planned to inject radioactive material into healthy
Told you they were gonna fuck with mice.
Then place some of them into small accumulators. He procured 2 radium needles from a major supplier of radioactive material, and in a...
He was trying to build a bomb with his radium and his uranium. He should be like, no, I totally adopted your belief that, this shit actually cures cancer rather than causes it.
Preliminary experiment, he decided to test the effects of highly concentrated orgone energy on the radium itself.
It makes sense that Reich was interested in trying to figure out, how orgone energy and the accumulator would interact and possibly be able to neutralize the radioactive material.
He put one of the radium needles...
Shut that bitch up. Why did she just... Why are we listening to a female? I'm sorry. Did I say that out loud?
...to a small orgone accumulator, which he placed into the more powerful 20-layer accumulator, which was located inside a metal-lined orgone room in the student laboratory.
That would be harder to make, yes. But we could all probably make an orgone box and see if it works. Just go to Home Depot. You probably could make it for like $50.
Apparently, putting that in a multi-layered orgone accumulator, it had some kind of reaction.
Within a short time, background counts in the orgone room and laboratory escalated dangerously, and experiments over the next few days resulted in the mice inside the laboratory dying.
My mother told me the mice all died. It was basically overnight. Things got horrible.
More ominously, co-workers standing 200 feet outside of the laboratory felt pain, pressure, and nausea.
Yeah, that's radiation. That's exactly what it does. And people are like, oh, no, that's just COVID. That's, yeah, all those symptoms, those are flu-like symptoms. Don't worry about it. You're fine.
My mother and other people got very sick, and it really was like a radiation sickness.
Reich theorized that the radium had excited the highly concentrated orgone energy within the accumulators.
No, it's just that box holds in all the whatever energy is emanating from the thing itself. So now you're hotboxing the radiation coming out of the uranium, and it's just accumulating. How does he not get that?
Transforming it into a deadly
There's not orgone energy just inside the thing. It's what you're placing in there that is being... So you understand? You're charging it yourself. It's you. So if you put just uranium in there, well, Jesus Christ. What do you
and setting off a chain reaction.
Insulator, right? Means that nothing's escaping. Well, they're trying not to let it escape. And then you have the Faraday cage thing. Or Faraday... It's just metal mesh or whatever the hell it is. Metal sheets it looks like he went to. So, if there's nothing in there but that, and then you go in there, where's your orgone coming from if not you? Oh, it's what's trapped in the atmosphere. That's what he's saying. Like, so the air, the pocket of the thing, like, do you bring it outside and put it out in the sun first and then bring it inside and shut somebody in it? No, it's because it's the shit that's you are actually generating that's causing it. So when you put something like, oh, I don't know why everybody got sick. All we did is have a bunch of uranium and radium in the same vicinity as us, and then we hotboxed the shit. This is science.
Reich always spoke about the fact that he thought that orgone energy and nuclear energy conflicted.
Because of the dangerously high background counts in the laboratory and around the property, Reich discontinued the experiments.
A lot of them moved to apartments in town, and
he ruined his entire house and his laboratory because he thought hotboxing radium and uranium was a great idea. I want to just let's let that simmer. Let's let that marinate for a little bit there.
other things, even Reich.
And it was scared us all, and they had to close the lab down. I don't know if any of this was true, but all of that I remember vividly floating around.
For over a year,
He smoked this one joint for like over a year. It was huge. He just had to roll a monster fatty and just try to forget about every fucking stupid thing he did up until this point.
moved back and forth between the town.
Look, even the supermarket looks like a dick. He was in the right town for what he was doing.
Orgone. He was alarmed by the high background counts lingering there. And
did he ever get rid of the fucking uranium? Like, what do you do with it? Oh, don't worry about it. I threw it in the sewer.
Clouds hovering over the property, which he attributed to the radium's effect on the atmospheric orgone energy. His research led to a method of cleansing the atmosphere over Orgone using hollow metal pipes and water.
He finally gets to this. An hour and 32 minutes into an hour and 47 thing, we're finally talking about the goddamn Cloudbuster. This is at the end of his life? Motherfucking piece of fucker.
He called the Cloudbuster. Reich discovered that metal pipes, connected by hollow metal cables to water, altered the natural flow and concentration of orgone energy in the atmosphere.
Stop it!
Affecting moisture levels and cloud patterns.
This is a Cloudbuster unit. It consists of 10 pipes, which are fully extended.
They're just giant dicks of varying lengths.
Operates the machine in such a manner that various functions are accomplished. If we wish to draw moisture, we lower it over the horizon. In order to destroy clouds, we draw from the center of the cloud. And in order to increase the size of the cloud, we draw from the vicinity of the cloud.
What Reich called cosmic orgone engineering often involved the coordination of multiple cloudbusters, including one at his daughter Eva's farm on the Maine coast.
It wasn't just one Cloudbuster.
Eva was doing all right for herself, too.
They would have various operations, they called them, going on at the same time, kind of.
This is somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about and isn't saying anything deep, but they have the whole female mannerism thing going on for themselves, where they talk slow, they do the thing with the hands, and they try to use slow speech and words that, it's like overcomplicating something simple. You could have spit it out in fucking 5 seconds, but we took 10 minutes because, she's self-indulgent. Main character syndrome.
Coordinated effort. They would be doing it at Orgone, they would be doing it here in Hancock, New York, and there are lots and lots of records of dates and where the wind was coming from and where the flow of the energy was coming from and then what happened and how long they did the basically stroking of the sky with the
stroking of the sky.
The most well-known example of this work was in 1953.
This was written as a comedy, I think.
When he was hired by blueberry farmers in coastal Maine.
I love blueberries.
To break a drought.
Back in
Fucking
53,
love blueberries.
My father and his good friend, Herbie Phillips, had a deal going with Dr. Reich to make rain. We needed the rain because we had thousands.
And he didn't even have any feathers in his headdress, but we said, you know what, we're going to give it a shot anyway.
Because the blueberry land in the area, and they were starting to dry up.
They didn't want to have to pay the money if it wasn't going to rain. And Reich finally told them, if it rains, then I'll get paid. If it doesn't rain, then I'll have just done it as an experiment.
They set up right in this area, right here, and we watched, and they worked this.
We watched, what were you, like 2?
To an hour, and my father was kind of anxious, and within a half an hour to an hour.
He died in 57. What do you mean we?
He had a puff of cloud, and there was another couple batches of clouds coming towards the first batch, and the doctor told him we should expect rain sometime within the next 24 hours. And later that evening, we got a good half an inch of rain or better in the area where we wanted it. And Dr. Wright had said, don't worry, the drought has been broken now, so you'll continue to get rain the rest of the season. And we did.
Fucking A.
By this time, the
$1,000
FDA's investigation
Yeah.
from Maine to California was in its 6th year, and the rental and sale of nearly 300
I'm gonna make this place into a freaking rainforest. I'm gonna get a bunch of cloudbusters. I'm just gonna make one. I don't have, unless somebody wants to do a GoFundMe for it or something, or maybe we'll do. Well, no, we can't make it like. We'll have to say it's something else. We have to, yeah, because that was a Kickstarter and all that. But if we want, let's just build. Let's just all focus on getting one built here in the Zona, and see if I can't turn this place into a greeny pasture so that I can plant stuff in my backyard. Wouldn't that be cool? Completely, very short-sighted. That lizards are gonna be pissed at me and stuff like that, but they'll get over it.
Orgone accumulators, now being built and shipped by S.A. Collins and Sons, was helping to support Reich's research.
If he wanted 80 of them, you had to find somebody to build them. So he came and asked us to build them, and we built them. And we built a lot. I couldn't tell you the exact amount, but we'd ship them all over the country.
Convinced of the fraudulent nature of the Orgone accumulators, and acting within the guidelines of the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act.
Of course they were. Of course they were, because, Jews are behind that too. Doesn't matter. We'll make it fit. Don't worry. We'll make it fit so that we can take down people who are showing people how to do things. We don't want them to be able to make it rain when we're trying to drought out the fucking farmers. How dare he?
FDA wrote up a complaint for injunction against Reich in 1954.
I mean, this is the guy who has sex boxes. How could he be doing something good in the sky? It's not fair. Why should he have that? We want it.
After 7 years of investigation, this complaint declared that orgone energy is not a powerful form of energy and is non-existent. Consequently,
well,
the FDA...
the name of it might be completely fucked and wrong, but it seems like it's a manipulation of energy that's already there, and you focus it, and you make it do something that you want it to do, instead of it doing all the things that it wants to do all the time.
FDA wanted to ban the interstate shipment of accumulators and Reich's literature.
Why would you care if they don't work? Again, nothing makes sense about this. Anybody can buy a trinket. If it's a trinket, it shouldn't matter. Why are you afraid of them being distributed if they don't work? If it's all a bunch of bullshit, why do you care? But people are allowed to buy rubber bullshit from China. Squishies. Nidos. Why would you care if they weren't doing something? I don't mean the Nido. I'm talking about the Orgone energy. Fucking, or whatever, the Cloudbuster. It wouldn't make a difference. Oh, it's like if you're the FDA, you're not a consumer protection agency. You shouldn't care what people are buying. And you shouldn't have the ability to stop that distribution. And you shouldn't have any concern in it whatsoever. So how can you in one hand say, oh, well, there's nothing to this stuff. Oh, we better stop them from distributing them because that's dangerous. The fuck? Shut up. Shut up.
Which it considered labeling for a fraudulent device. FDA officials presented
right,
this
yeah, right. They get all their assholes together to shit on something so that the public thinks that that's bad and wrong and it gets discredited, even though it's not. That's why they're putting forth the effort and the money and the time to make an initiative against it so they can erase it from the people's memory as being an option or a potentiality.
Complaint to Peter Mills, the U.S. Attorney for the state of Maine,
Piece of
for his
shit.
approval.
It's
Mills
politician.
had previously practiced law in the town of Farmington, 1 hour from Rangeley, and for many years had been Reich's attorney in Maine.
Oh boy.
Providing legal services for him and his research
So now he turned on him?
Mills's name on the FDA's complaint for injunction devastated Reich,
I bet.
who was now required to appear in court if he wished to challenge this proposed injunction. After consulting with lawyers in New York and...
He still combed his hair this way, even after consulting with all those people. He said, I'm going to be Einstein. Just you wait. I'm getting the hair right now.
Maine, he declined their advice and took an unusual position that some have called brave.
Was it like this?
And others have called naive. He wrote a lengthy letter to the judge, explaining that he could not appear in court because
he's an asshole.
Scientific matters cannot be decided upon in court.
Good call.
They can only be clarified by prolonged, faithful, bona fide observations in friendly exchange of opinion.
How'd that work out?
Never by litigation. Man's right to know.
Yeah, how are you going to prove to something that people who are unable to, well, they're not obviously open to an honest discussion about something, and they're not versed in it. So it's just a matter of their own pig-headed dogma against it and their bias. You can't have an honest discussion that they're not being objective to, well, let's hear it out and see if it makes any sense. Like, you can, it still doesn't, it's still, that's not up to them. You don't have that conversation with those people. Those people are not able to have that conversation with you. So you can't bring yourself down to their game, because their game is already geared to beat you with it. You know, they're going to decide against you, regardless of what you say, because they're not listening and they're not paying attention and they're not understanding anything that you're telling them, and they're rejecting it based on its very suggestion. So what the fuck? What are you supposed to do with that? Oh, because it happened in court, it must be true. They had their final word. It was discussed in a court of law, therefore it must be. Yeah, shut up.
To learn, to inquire, to make bona fide errors, to investigate human emotions, must, by all means, be safe, if the word freedom should ever be more than an empty political slogan. I therefore submit, in the name of truth and justice,
And National Socialism. Just kidding. Yeah, too bad you didn't say it.
that I shall not appear in court. The judge did not accept Reich's letter as a valid legal response.
And he said, oh, well, then hold on. I got a second letter. Fuck you.
Decree of injunction was issued on default, as if Reich had never responded at all. But this decree, written by FDA officials and approved by Peter Mills, was even more excessive than the initial complaint. It ordered Reich to recall all accumulated...
Peter Mills is a piece of shit. If anybody knows his descendants, you should shake your finger in their faces. Maybe give him like a wet willy or something. I'm not saying protect the oy vey who's has a communistic past, but he did say nice things about the apparently National Socialists after the fact later on. So I don't know. I'm just saying, if on this particular topic, because you can do things topic by topic, because somebody can have all kinds of fucking things wrong with them. But if they're right on one thing, you don't just say, well, I don't like their person. I don't like this person, so basically they don't have any rights, or they don't have a standing argument and something. That's ignorant fucking Crusaders.gg bullshit. And Flood 2.0 shit. That's not how you operate.
from their current users, and then to destroy them. It ordered all literature with instructions for using or assembling accumulators to be destroyed as well. This included all of Reich's published research journals and bulletins over the past 12 years. The decree also banned the distribution of 10 of Reich's books until such time as all references to Orgone energy
It's funny how that reads. The Murder of Christ by Wilhelm Reich. Yeah, that's... The People in Trouble by Wilhelm Reich. Ether, God, and the Devil by Wilhelm Reich. The Sexual Revolution by Wilhelm Reich. The function of the orgasm is one volume in and of itself, and then the cancer biopathy. Because those two things always go together.
Deleted. For reasons still unclear, the FDA made no immediate
Nice house, though.
effort to destroy any of these publications, which were now in storage at Orgone, along
In Orgone, where nobody wanted to go to reach them because it was highly radioactive.
dozens of accumulators legally forbidden from being shipped across state lines. Reich was now immersed in a project he'd been planning for over a year.
Suicide. No, I'm just kidding.
Taking 2 Cloudbusters to Arizona to test their effects on drought conditions
And here's the tie-in with me.
in the desert. He placed his co-worker, Dr. Michael Silvert, in charge of Orgone.
And he stuck a radium and uranium in his pockets and said, "Let me know how you feel later."
Prior to leaving for 6 months in Arizona.
Tucson. Nobody ever comes to Yuma. Fucker.
And
That's
we
a big one.
tried to draw in moisture from the Pacific over a stretch of about 200 to 250 miles. We succeeded very nicely in that the moisture in the atmosphere climbed higher and remained high. That means that the atmosphere learned how to maintain its content of moisture by drawing in moisture from the Pacific Ocean.
He just needed a beacon.
Saw
Needed a
red
magnet.
grass growing after about 3 weeks of operation in a stretch of about 50 to 60 miles.
Reich was really thinking that when he
They're
could
manipulating
show
magnetic
that
fields
he
and
could
energy.
bring rain to the desert,
Did he?
that
Did he?
the government
Did he?
would be thanking him.
Rather than
And
wanting
that
to kill
there
him.
would be sort of a shift in this persecution, and that people would realize how important what he was doing was.
But like, no, we already get that. That's why we want him gone. Because we do understand that it's effective. We can't be having this.
Happen.
What do you want? What do you want? People just roaming around with your Orgone energy machines everywhere that we don't want them to have food, and you start giving them water? You are a maniac. You're a madman. You're a loose cannon. And I thought you were a Jew.
The results in Arizona were promising, but this would not stop the final unraveling
What does
of
that mean?
events that was about
Does
to
that mean he
occur
made it rain? Because why don't you just fucking say it?
because of violations of the injunction by both Reich and Silvert. Although Reich had notified accumulator users of the injunction, he never recalled the accumulators, nor did any users offer to return them.
Then they said, fuck those people. Good for
And
them.
acting on his own while Reich was in Tucson, Dr. Silvert ordered a truckload of accumulators and literature to be moved from Orgone across state lines to New York City, where
Bam.
their sales generated income for Reich's cloud-busting work in the desert.
Fuck yeah. Fuck the man.
Consequently, several weeks after Reich's return from Arizona in 1955, he and Silvert were charged with criminal contempt of court. For the next year, Reich's earnest efforts to argue scientific principles and undo his legal entanglements were completely ineffectual and often misguided. Ignoring his lawyer's advice once again, he and Dr. Silvert acted as their own lawyers at their trial in May 1956.
How did that work
pleading
out?
not
Oh, yeah.
guilty to criminal contempt of court. Then freely admitting that they'd violated the injunction because they had to. In his instructions to the jury,
He was actually an honest Jew. I don't think this guy was very Jewish.
the judge made it clear that the only issue in this trial was whether or not the injunction had been violated.
In 20 minutes.
The harsh prison sentence, recommended by Reich's former attorney and the FDA's lawyer,
Yeah, that's fucked, man. His former attorney, no conflict of interest. Oh, you know, I know everything about this guy. Can't imagine why you were assigned to this.
bring an end to 4 decades of his life's work and solidify in the eyes of the U.S. government and numerous professional organizations the image of Wilhelm Reich.
Oh, look at this smart ass piece of shit. Obviously, media is Jewish too. Maybe Orgone can cure a 2-year jail sentence too. These people are fucking jackals.
As a criminal and fraud.
You know, I had made the prediction that if Reich goes to jail, he'll die there. I said it'll be like putting an eagle in a cage.
Over the next 3 months, FDA agents supervised the destruction of orgone accumulators and literature.
They really like this house. I think it's nice too, but I mean, all the walk-ups and the... I don't know if that's a drone or whatever the hell they're doing. Maybe it's just like one of those dolly runners.
And in New York City,
it's a drone.
Tons of Reich's publications were burned.
Gansvert. There's a Gansvert, New York.
A municipal garbage incinerator. Inexplicably, the FDA made a last-minute decision to also burn his books, which, according to the injunction, were only to have been withheld from circulation.
No, let's burn them. Burn it all. Let God sort it out. In March 1957, Wilhelm Reich was imprisoned at the Lewisburg Federal Penitentiary in Pennsylvania. And then they fed him some bad food, and he had a heart attack. He died there 7 months later of a heart failure at the age of 60. He was doing fine up until he got incarcerated. 3 years later, on March 17th, 1960, he was still dead. No change in his condition as of yet. FDA agents supervised a third destruction of Reich's literature, which had been in storage in New York City. Burn it all. Burn it all. Burn it all. Why? Because there's absolutely nothing there to see. No reason to even look at it. And completely innocuous and of little effect. So why go through the effort? Because, we had some matches and we had some gasoline and we like to do stuff. So why are you asking questions? They used the shall, the heavy legal word, the legalese word of shall. Boom, boom. But they don't look at it when they say it shall not be infringed. Oh, what? You mean for hunting? No, you fucking...
FDA people and my lawyer and I drove to this place, which was really a big junk place called the Gansford. And there was a large trough down the middle of it. And that's where we threw all the books.
You bitch!
There was like claws that came down and picked them up. And then
somebody should have thrown you in there with it.
Just dumped into a fire.
You're a dude. You're a dude with a female voice. Look at those eyebrows. Look at that face. Good God, man. She has 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, there's 5 fingers there. I thought there were 6. I was getting curious here.
And that was it.
How do you feel about it now, cunt? Bet you're dead now.
Wilhelm Reich is, in a sense, such a well-known figure in popular culture, but in another sense, he's not well-known.
You only have to look at the body of work.
Please don't make me look at you, though, Alexander. Or Frederick.
Reich did. To recognize whether you agree with it or if it makes sense to your way of thinking or not, that it was really quite phenomenal work.
The fact
except for that sex stuff. You could have done without that.
Is persistently...
Oh, that's a granddaughter? Is that who has been babbling this whole fucking time? She's doing the big fingers. You know, she's a fucking handful. This cunt.
Continued this far after his death is remarkable.
He was sort of the father of body psychotherapy.
She has been looks-maxing. Look at the jaws on this one. Oh my goodness. She's got the mastic gum. She's doing the fillers. She's still Jewish. You can't undo yourself. So just stop, please.
In the United States, he was also pretty.
Looks-maxing is not helping.
Psychology of fascism, and
Not closer.
Might reread
Jesus
his
Christ.
book to see what's going on today.
Stop it.
You know, he's bringing in his mind a great truth to the world that will change the world.
What do you mean in his mind, you cocksucking Jay? Kobelenzer.
And he was driven to that.
Yeah, you got the Sephardic eyebrows.
He didn't let anything stop him from that. He was absolutely wedded to that. And he sacrificed everything for his work.
He may not have been an easy man personally, I think, but that does not
No, he was pretty easy.
cut into his brilliance.
The narrative about the mad scientist has somehow precluded the interesting discussions about his contributions.
There's something still about Reich, which is a kind of a taboo.
Of all the losses of writing Reich's story out of history, the greatest loss, I think, would be the potentially lost important scientific and medical contributions.
I think.
Yeah, don't look at him for like Father of the Year material or anything, because you'd fall pretty short.
Be very good to deconstruct what we think we know about Wilhelm Reich. Start with his contributions in psychiatry and psychoanalysis, and ask the simple questions: who was he? What was he really on to?
The discovery of orgone energy and the development of his theory of cancer and its implications for medicine are just huge. Reich was, like many scientists, mistaken about many things. But if even one of the things that he thought was an important contribution turned out to be correct, the stakes are enormous.
Yeah, like tomahawk steaks. Those things are enormous. They're fucking expensive too. I want a tomahawk steak. Okay. I would have gone through this, but it's late. Maybe we'll start with that part tomorrow or something. I gotta go to bed. Or elliptical or... God damn it, fuck. I'm gonna be up till 3 o'clock in the morning. Because of you. Because of you! Oh! OBS, you're an asshole. I would have started at least a half hour earlier if it wasn't for OBS. Jeez. And if I didn't talk so much throughout the movie too, I guess. So you're saying it's my fault now? Blame. What do they call the person who dumps the blood? That person. Yeah. Don't put the blame on someone else. It's projection. Well, you know what to do. If you like everything that just happened, I can't imagine how. Go ahead and do the thing. It's over here. Don't make Edward have to pull everything all the way himself. It's buymeacoffee.com at Ballbusters or /Ballbusters. I don't care what you're watching. If you're on Kick, I'll know if you did it or not because it just goes bing and it hurts my ears. So, which I like that sound. I like the pain. Pain is good. Go over here at Wisdom's Fitness. I'm going to be putting some more shit up there. Stuff, things. This guy's a freak. Don't follow this phony or that phony or this phony. Why are they giving me these things? What's happening here? What was this? Oh yeah, that's Karen's. Yes, the Orgasmatron and the Orgone energy device are directly related, but one being a historical pseudoscientific bullshit invention, and the other a fictional pop culture satire of it. And the other, hold on. Where did they say it? I want to see his name. Oh, the Gasmatron, the parody. The Gasmatron is a fictional futuristic gadget coined by director Woody Allen in his 1973 sci-fi comedy film Sleeper. His filth, garbage, bullshit fucking movies of perversion and disgustingness were in 1973 still making fun of and trashing the memory of Wilhelm Reich. This is what Jews do. Okay? All right, we'll get into some more manana. But you should totally be liking, following, sharing, doing a lot of cool stuff. Go to this thing here and scroll to where it says my website, Paratus 15% off. Okay. And then beneath that, you'll see Patreon, you'll see YouTube for the thing. And I have a new All right, so leave Big Pharma behind for Dr. Glidden. We got more members recently. And you can use code Ballbusters or Fitwit for the 25% off. And then the 90 essential nutrients, if you don't want to have to deal with cancer in the first place. AzureStandard.com. Get the ones that I have listed right here. Plus the core copper. Use code BB5 or I'll slap you. Use code BB5. You get an additional discount. Give and go, buy me coffee, PayPal. Okay. Thanks. And good night. And thank you to all for watching. I hope I didn't ruin your sleep.